Well, good morning to you. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Antioch High School students are being encouraged to wear red when they return to class for the first time today since last week's deadly shooting. But some schools say they're not going to, some students say they're not going to walk through those doors. Instead, they tell Channel 4 that they'll stay outside to protest for better school safety.
We're all left traumatized now. Nobody wants to go back.
We want better protection for our schools. This shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Now, those students who do go back to class will have to walk through some new weapons detection systems that are being tested. This is called Evolve.
These detectors should have been in place before the incident happened, and it could have prevented it.
I've been looking into it, and they say it's almost 60% effective. We don't need something that's 60. We need 100% effectiveness into our school and safety into our school.
Hundreds of students rallied at the Tennessee State Capitol yesterday calling for gun reform. President Trump, at a Republican retreat in Florida last night, said federal authorities have arrested some 1,100 migrants nationwide just yesterday, and many have already been sent back to their home countries.
Federal authorities say they're targeting violent offenders. An advocacy group is now suing the Trump administration over the deportations and arrests, saying the sweeps are creating panic in some communities. Trump is expected to sign the Laken Riley Act, named after the Georgia student killed by a man in the country illegally. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Now, the Laken Riley Act requires faster deportation of illegal aliens who are suspected of a crime. Startup Chinese AI DeepSeek is temporarily limiting new user registrations after a large-scale malicious attack. DeepSeek reported a partial outage on its web chat service. Its app is struggling after that attack. The sudden emergence of that challenger to U.S. firms' AI has caused a sell-off on Wall Street yesterday and the loss of $6 billion of market value for chipmaker NVIDIA. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Chuck Sievertson.
Chinese tech upstart upended stock markets Monday. The shock came from a company called DeepSeek that introduced a chatbot that can compete with the best AI technology that American companies can offer, but at a fraction of the cost, calling into question the tens of billions of dollars in AI investments by U.S. chip makers and technology companies. Chipmaker NVIDIA's stock dropped 17%, dragging down the NASDAQ, which closed over 3% lower, down 612 points. The Dow was up 289, but the S&P fell 89 points. Asset manager Ancora is taking a stake in U.S. Steel and hopes to stop a takeover by Nippon Steel. The Biden administration had blocked the $15 billion acquisition of the Pittsburgh company over national security concerns. The European Union has agreed to extend sanctions against Russia for another 6 months over its invasion of Ukraine. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Stock futures are a little brighter this morning. We've got the Dow futures up 18 points, NASDAQ futures gaining 142, S&P futures, they're up 23 points. That's the latest news. Stick around for traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looks pretty good on the major roadways heading in. Watch it at Nolensville Pike around the Holt Road area. Looks like they're still doing some work, and Nolensville Pike is pretty slow there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Welcome on in to your January 28th of 2025. It is Tuesday, along with KGB, Jeff Malinoff, and also Joan Jones. There is a lot going on. Want to make sure that I have some audio, if we could, Jeff. Selena Gomez, I'm sure that you've seen this train wreck of a video of Selena Gomez. Went viral yesterday, and she put up this sobbing and I would say silly video as she is reacting to Donald Trump and his deportations.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
Joe, did you see this?
I saw it. I couldn't even believe what I was watching.
Do you know what they call this? Jeff, I bet you know what they call this. You're of the younger generation. Do you know what you call this?
Virtue signaling?
Cry fishing.
Oh.
They call this cry fishing.
Like fishing for people to become...
It's fishing for engagement by crying.
My question is, what is she supposed to do? Like, is she have a magic wand that could stop this? What?
She has a lot of money. She could sponsor some of these children.
Have you seen her home?
Yeah, right.
Her home is, you could fit at least 50 illegal alien families in her home if she so chooses. After all, she says in that video that these are her people.
Right.
Now, here's what's interesting. These are her people. Gang members, rapists, murderers, drug dealers. These are your people, Selena Gomez? I find the whole thing just absolutely ludicrous.
Well, look, in her defense, she was crying for the children.
Sure. She doesn't know. I don't know if she actually knows what's going on as far as who is being deported. There's a great meme out there today, as a matter of fact. And the meme shows on the top pane of the meme, you have a family full of Hispanics or whatever. And then on the bottom of the meme, you have a bunch of gang members. On the top, it says who the media wants you to believe that Donald Trump is deporting. And then on the bottom, it says who Donald Trump is really deporting. And it's all the tattooed gangbangers. That's who's being deported. So Selena Gomez in this cry fishing video, which, by the way, a lot of people always say, and I posted this to my X feed, you know, people will say, and I'm right there with you, that anybody who is crying and sobbing and, you know, and they're posting it is immediately suspect, because you know darn right well that you're posting this and you've got all of these tears that are coming. And it's like, are you really crying like that? And you chose to put yourself up on video on the internet, sort of acting, at least in my opinion. Do you have to conjure up all of that kind of emotion and then put it up? Or how does that exactly work? Did you get that on one take? Did you make sure that the lighting was all correct? Do you know what I'm saying? It just seems rather silly. I love when she said,
I don't understand.
I don't understand. No, Selena Gomez, you clearly don't understand. Now, I loved, they played the video for Tom Homan on Fox News, and I frankly love his response.
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line.
Yeah, so clearly,
I don't understand.
Selena Gomez doesn't understand who is actually being deported. gang members, drug dealers, murderers, and rapists. So I would say that if Selena Gomez is saying that these are her people, she's hanging out with some shady characters. Trump has deported thousands of bad guys. Headline on Fox News, nearly 1,200 illegal migrants have been arrested now by ICE. And that was on Monday. There's a story out there today that Donald Trump is actually unhappy, believe it or not. Donald Trump is unhappy with the amount of people that are being arrested and deported. Right now, it's hundreds a day, it would appear. The story tells us that Donald Trump has phoned ICE and said, I want thousands arrested. I want thousands deported daily. And I think that's part of what, that headline on Fox News on Monday, because today's Tuesday. On Monday, they say there was 1,200 arrested by ICE. So I love what Tom Homan's reaction is.
I don't think we arrested any families. We've arrested public safety threats and national security threats, bottom line.
The thing about what Selena Gomez did is she actually putting America at risk because she's actually lying to her followers, many of which will believe that what Donald Trump is doing is just deporting children and deporting families.
And look, President Trump won the election on this one issue, securing our border and saving lives.
Right. And so here's the problem. The problem is Selena Gomez. And listen, I always try to tell you folks the truth. There's some people that'll say, oh, you're just a lying conservative. No, I genuinely try with all my might to do my research and tell you the truth. Now, the problem is that with Selena Gomez, she is literally lying to her, I don't know how many followers that she has on social media, but I can guarantee you it's in the millions. And so when she's out there and she's apologizing to her people because bad Donald Trump is arresting and deporting them.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
I just find the whole thing ridiculous. And again, she says, I wish there was something I can do. KGB, can you look up Selena Gomez's home and find out where she lives and how many square feet she has, maybe how many bedrooms that she has? Because what Donald Trump is doing is he is protecting the children, many of these children, from child predators. Because that's who Donald Trump is deporting and arresting. Go ahead.
11,000 square feet.
She's got 11,000 square feet.
You could have 10 of those kids in your house with you and never run into them.
That's exactly right.
Crazy.
11,000 square feet. Does it say how many bedrooms it has?
6 and 10 bathrooms.
Dramatic
curved staircase. Thank you to housebeautiful.com for this information.
There
There's
you
a
go.
wine cellar. You can put people in the wine cellar.
How many people could you fit in a wine cellar? I mean, how many families can you fit in a wine cellar?
You could honestly put 3. I have 3 or 4, depending how big the wine cellar is, but you could put at least 2 in there.
Listen, if Selena Gomez really wants to help, and she said that in the video, which, by the way, she almost immediately deleted. I don't know if I mentioned that. She almost immediately deleted the video because I think it's clear that people called her out and said Donald Trump is deporting bad guys, not families with children.
Sorry, I was wrong. It's not 11,000. It's more than 11,000 square feet.
More than 11,000 square feet. All right. Listen, Selena Gomez, here's what people need to do. You know what I'd like people to do is take a screenshot or maybe link. KGB, you're trying to get more active on X. Here's what I would like you to do.
Okay.
I would like you to link to Selena Gomez's home. I want you to tag her on Twitter or X and ask her directly, this is your home. You've got more than 11,000 square feet. How many families, Selena Gomez, are you willing to bring into your home to protect them from Donald Trump? Because you said, Selena Gomez, that you want to help. That is exactly what she said.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
Places, everybody, places. You know what I
You
mean?
were way too good at that.
Yeah, really?
That was way too good.
5:15, time to check the roads on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, no delays heading in this morning. Checked on 24 and 65. 40 is looking good as well this morning. Just some delays. Check out Nolensville Pike right at Holt Road. Looks like they're doing some work there, and it looks a little slow in that area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:16, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather today, really, am I seeing a high of 55 degrees?
Oh, yeah.
That is very exciting. 55, and right now, Malinoff told me it is, I think he said 33 degrees.
31.
31
close.
degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Is it weird that I'm laughing at Selena Gomez because I think that she realized how ridiculous that she sounded? I mean, to me, for this video that, again, went viral, it's another line of propaganda that is being used by the left to demonize conservatives and Donald Trump. And so she took down this cry-fishing video because perhaps she was red-pilled or because she realized that people weren't falling for it.
Because we got over 2 million known gotaways. We got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. We got a record number of terrorists crossing the border on the terrorist watch list.
Yeah, that is Tom Homan. And he was on Fox News. And yes, he was responding and reacting directly to Selena Gomez. And so you've got 11 million or more people here illegally. 11 million people or more. Everyone admits we simply don't have the resources to be able to deport all of the illegal aliens. And so what Tom Homan and Donald Trump have both said, many people have said, you know what? We don't have the resources to deport everyone, so we've got to prioritize. And so what we're going to do is we are going to make America safe again, or at the very least safer, by going to get rid of the criminals. And that's what he's doing. He's doing it in Los Angeles. He's doing it in Boston. He's doing it in New York, Washington, D.C., and so forth. And now we're using military aircraft to deport these guys, and we're using the military as well down on the border to help facilitate border security. And that's a good thing. Big story yesterday. I don't know if you saw this. Big story yesterday was that the cartels are, again, shooting at our border patrol. They were caught, by the way, but it was also caught on video. And so they're trying to usher people across the border. And our border patrol is trying to stop these people from coming in. And the cartels are shooting at our guys and our border patrol, which is exactly why Donald Trump needs to treat the cartels like a terrorist organization, which was yet another executive order by Donald Trump. There was a moment on CNN, I think, that personifies all of this TDS that is going on. And I'm really looking forward to playing this for you. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 5:30. Right before the news, I'm going to play this audio for you because I think it's great. Because part of what's going on CNN and on MSNBC is that they are destroying their own credibility because the same kind of, cry fishing that Selena Gomez was doing, I think CNN is doing the same thing by regurgitating some of this. And I'm going to call it fear porn. That's what CNN and MSNBC certainly is engaged in, is fear porn, where they're talking about Donald Trump, again, deporting kids and all that kind of stuff, which is clearly, simply put, not happening. And so I've got that audio for you straight ahead. By the way, our Daily Dan poll, find us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube, Facebook as well. You can watch us on X, pretty much anywhere. And you can also catch all of our podcasts as well at 997WTN.com, Apple Podcasts, basically anywhere you get podcasts. You can't get away from us. So find the podcast as well for each and every show. But our Dan Daily Dan poll on YouTube, A lot of people are saying that Donald Trump is issuing way too many executive orders. Believe it or not, even some conservatives are saying that as well and saying, oh, he's acting like a dictator. So the Daily Dan poll question is, Malinoff, this is where you speak.
President Trump is accused of issuing too many executive orders. Do you agree? Yes, no, and I added undecided.
All right, very good. Joan Jones has the news at 5:30. Joan, what's coming up?
Well, students from Antioch High School swarmed the state capitol as lawmakers began their special session yesterday. Also, the prosecutors who worked alongside Jack Smith to investigate President Trump are out of a job today. Those stories and more coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
525, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We'll go into more detail at 5:35, but I think we may have figured out some of the mystery that was the cameras and the lighting here in the Super Talk studio. It's amazing what happens after people actually arrive at work and they start telling the people that are supposed to be using the equipment how it actually works, which is what happened after 9 yesterday.
Oh, don't be silly. You didn't know that, like, by osmosis?
No.
How to work all this stuff?
Didn't know that. We'll get into it at 5:35. Trying to focus here. So there was a moment on CNN that I think personifies part of the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome that is going on, where they're really trying to say that all of these deportations that Donald Trump is doing and Tom Homan is doing, what they're trying to say is that all these deportations are for show.
Because you're right, the numbers were already down historically. They were less when Joe Biden was in office than when Trump was in office. So it's really all for show right now.
What a ridiculous statement. I mean, you know, CNN wonders, and I've got some numbers here later on that I'll share with you, but CNN wonders why their ratings are down so much. They have lost $400 million in revenue over the past couple of years. And that's part of the reason why is ridiculous statements like that. Because the bottom line is the people that we're deporting are bad guys, and that is the bottom line. By the way, the Republicans on this panel, Scott Jennings and former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty, and they make some very important statements.
There's a couple things that have been said that I think are inaccurate or out of context. One of which is the idea that it was just as good under Biden. That is patently false. Biden belatedly, at the end of his presidency, did some things through executive actions that the last 6 months made the numbers look better.
I didn't say it was just as good. I didn't say it was just as good under Biden.
I said the numbers were lower under Biden when Biden left than when Trump was in office, and that is a fact.
No, over four year to 4 year. 4 year to 4 year.
When Biden left,
4 year to 4 year. Who had a better record?
That is exactly the right thing to say. That is exactly the right question, and that is 4 years over 4 years, who has more illegal aliens on their resume? Clearly, Joe Biden. During Trump's administration, there were something like 1.2 million encounters over the 4 years. Biden, in total, 7.2 million. Then you start talking about the gotaways. Then you start talking about the criminals. And by the way, 7.2 million is on the low end. You start talking about the criminals, the fentanyl, goes on and on. Did you see what they found in San Diego? In San Diego, they found a really amazingly built tunnel underground leading right from, Mexico into San Diego, and Trump's Border Patrol found it. It's amazing what happens when you actually look. Here's more from former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty.
The New York Times, which is no conservative publication, did investigative reporting not long ago that looked at the Biden administration and concluded that the number of illegal immigrants that President Biden led into this country was the largest number of illegal immigrants in the history of the country, bar none. New York Times.
Yeah, I mean, nice try, CNN. An article published in December 2024 noted that the recent immigration surge under President Biden has been described as the largest in U.S. history, with government data indicating over 2 million immigrants entering annually. It's like 8 million. The surge has led to a foreign-born population reaching a new high, with about 60% of these immigrants entering without legal authorization since Joe Biden took office. Unbelievable. And again, CNN wonders why they're losing viewers and losing money. It is 5:30 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good Good morning. It's now 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're sitting at 30 degrees right now, and we'll get up to the mid-50s today. Stick around. We've got the forecast coming up. It's day 2 of the special legislative session called by Governor Lee to address his school voucher program and disaster relief for East Tennessee. But students from Antioch High School gathered at the state capitol, too, yesterday. They were demanding gun reform measures after the death of Jocelyn Escalante at the hands of another student at Antioch High School last week.
She was like me. I see her and me, and it's just sad. That could have been anybody. Nobody deserves that.
In an effort to ensure that Jocelyn Escalante is not forgotten, they joined hundreds of supporters at the Capitol to advocate for gun reform.
For all, not even just Antioch, but for all schools in Antioch, even just throughout the U.S.
Channel 4's Jordan James reporting from that protest yesterday. Students returned to the classroom today. There's more trouble for Antioch High School, too. A former support staffer has been charged after inappropriate communications with a student on Instagram. That student is a 14-year-old. Clarence Davis has been suspended from his job as an assistant basketball coach, and he's now charged with 19 counts of solicitation of a minor and other charges. He's detained in Metro Jail on a $192,000 bond. More than a dozen career prosecutors who had worked on Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigations were fired yesterday. The acting attorney general saying they were fired because they could not be trusted to implement the Trump agenda.
We're facing an extraordinary situation in the Justice Department where these people were part of prosecutions that they believed could put President Trump in prison for potentially decades if they were able to get a conviction. So you do have this extraordinary moment where the incoming team is in service of a president that many of these career officials believes should not be in office, but should be behind bars. You cannot escape the fact that there is a conflict there.
ABC's Alex Mullen reporting. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, the major roads are looking good this morning, but some slowdown now being noticed on Murfreesboro Pike as you head into Nashville. Just touch of the brakes. Looks like volume delays. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:36. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? Joan Jones is here. Good morning, Joan.
Well, hello there.
And KGB's here. KGB, did you do what I very specifically told you to do as the host of the program? Did you engage with Selena Gomez on X?
I posted something, but I don't think I tagged her. I might have to tag her. I forgot to do that.
Come on, man. That was the whole
point. Are you trolling her, or
I don't want to. What I did was I shared the crying video.
Yes.
I put a picture of Selena Gomez's how big her house is, 11,483 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 10 baths, and I said, I feel like she could do something. I just can't think of what.
By the way, she also, apparently, my friend Aaron says that she's got a second home in Woodland Hills, which is, so she's got like 2 homes.
I think she bought a house in Texas also. I have to confirm that. But I saw something as I was Google searching her that she also has property in Texas.
Now, if you're just joining us.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
She is a good actress now. And now I think, I thought she was just a singer. I guess she's a good actress also now.
I don't know if she's a good actress or.
Well, that crying should prove it to you.
I don't think that was. I don't think that crying was.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do.
What's on her fingers?
I'll try everything.
Are they tattoos?
Probably.
Yeah.
Are her fingers tattooed?
Well, you know who had worse crying was when Miley Cyrus reacted to Trump winning the first time.
Oh, yeah.
That one was bad crying.
I don't remember that.
She was just in bed. I just remember because I watch compilations of reactions to Trump winning all the time because it's funny.
Yeah.
And one of them was Miley crying like, "We will have a woman president one day." It's like because that's the only thing that mattered to her.
Was that the first time or the second time?
That was the first time.
Okay.
See if you can find that. You know what we ought to do?
I could find that easy.
Maybe at 8:35, what we do, Joan, is we find the best like crying videos.
Yeah.
And take a listener poll and we decide whose is the worst or the best, depending on how you want to look at it.
Do they have to be stars? Because there's a lot of non-stars that also.
Well, there's that one woman that we all know, the bespeckled one. She fell to her knees and she's crying and screaming no.
That was a scream fest it was in DC that happened.
Oh, that was a scream fest?
Yeah, everybody. I mean, she was what everybody focused on.
She took it and ran with it, didn't she, though?
Yeah, she
sure
did.
did.
Yeah, there were a lot of people that gathered like on hillsides or whatever and screamed into the abyss because it allowed them to vent.
I wonder if she felt better after that.
I felt better.
Did you feel better?
After that scream, I felt
Absolutely.
great.
It's like we just,
It's a cleansing scream.
I just think it's cleansing to watch them scream and sort of laugh at them.
Oh, it's great.
By the way, I wonder if she's a Trump supporter now. Do you think she's been red-pilled?
No.
It's almost like
she was too far gone. She was in that blue ocean and there's nothing much you can do.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that were in that blue ocean. I mean, they were doing, backflips and everything in that blue ocean. And now they've come over to the other side. Who's that comedian? We've played him a bazillion times. I can't think of his
that narrows it down.
Michael
Rappaport?
Rappaport. Michael Rappaport.
Well,
if Rappaport can see the light, then
I think
can the screaming, bespeckled, short-haired, probably a lesbian that was screaming
I think
out
he
there
still hates Trump, but I think he's like, I'm calling BS out on the left now because they're gone. It's over kind of for them. Because he is Jewish and he was supporting Israel, and when they were supporting Hamas,
that was the whole thing.
That was his like red pill or just
There's a lot of people that
moment.
have been red-pilled by the pro-Hamas movement on the
100%.
left. That's crazy. Anyway, I love what Donald Trump, he responded to Selena Gomez. And by the way, am I saying that incorrectly? Because people are saying Selena Gomez.
What were you saying? What were you saying?
You were saying Selena.
You know what the great thing about me is? I don't care. I don't care.
He's got a Marconi. Why should he care?
That's right.
That's how I won the Marconi, mispronouncing names. Donald Trump says this: many Hollywood liberals have taken our actions to secure the border very personally and are no doubt surprised that the government finally did something. After years of inaction, actress Selena Gomez best known as the third amigo on that murder mystery show that Chevy Chase wouldn't touch, posted a video to social media where she was in tears over the deportations. Selena, these are people who broke the law by coming here. Some have also committed other horrible crimes. I hope Selena is just as upset about the victims of these crimes. Focus on your career, Trump says. The people want a sequel to Spring Breakers. Now, if you don't know what Spring Breakers is, from what I understand, and KGB Joan knows a lot more about this than I do because he's into that kind of thing. Apparently, that was kind of a raunchy college kids kind of movie.
Oh.
I Googled. Okay, full disclosure, behind the scenes. Hey, Jeff, can you look up what Spring Breakers was? Yeah, no problem, Dan. Happy to help you. And then there's the bus that you run me over with as I'm trying to find it. But the poster is like a bunch of girls in bikinis, and she's one of them. And I looked at the plot synopsis of like on Wikipedia. Like during halfway through the movie, apparently they go to a strip club. So that's all I really need to know.
Vanessa Hudgens was in it too.
Yeah, I was so disappointed to see that. She's great.
Yeah. So anyway, I wonder though, why did Selena Gomez? Why did she delete it? Like I've always wondered, why do people and remember this is, what did I call it? What is this? Cry
fishing.
Cry fishing.
You were so proud to know that.
Yeah.
I was, but I don't have a very good memory. What?
Afterwards, did you see what she posted?
No.
Oh.
She said, I didn't know that having empathy for others was so, such a terrible thing. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially it was that. I didn't know it was a bad thing to be empathetic.
Well, it is a bad thing to be empathetic against child predators, murderers, rapists, drug cartels, and drug dealers. It is bad to be empathetic towards those folks.
Dan, do you remember that the left has come up with the word MAPS? Minor attracted people.
Oh, yeah.
You know that's the same political party.
Minor attracted people?
You've never heard of this, MAPS? Minor attracted persons?
No.
Some college professor came up with this, and of course she's a short-haired lefty, and came up with because apparently calling them pedophiles is derogatory. So they came up with a more nicer term, and legitimately, look it up. You can look this up. Minor attracted people. It's a real thing. People try to replace with pedophile.
That shows you the insanity of folks on the left.
Yeah.
That's what it does. All right, can we talk real quick about the studio? And I don't want to belabor the point. So we come in yesterday. Joan, you remember this. We come in yesterday, and it's like there's all this stuff here. And nobody told us how to use any of it. So we're just sort of fumbling around. And yesterday's show looked terrible. I hated yesterday's show for a number of different reasons, but it looked terrible. So then we come in, or then the engineering people come in, and they're like, oh, well, we didn't put up the beauty lights. Sorry. And, oh, we didn't tell you that you could change the background of the wall behind you. Sorry. No instructions whatsoever. So within 20 minutes of Chris Hand coming on, all of a sudden everything looks great.
Yeah. So I was watching the show, and it's the same quality we had on our show. And then they go to commercial. Then they come back, new background. He has better quality. Everything changes. And then I was so confused. And then I watched Matt Murphy's show, and all of a sudden the lights are changing in the background. And I was like, we could do this?
Yeah, we could do that. Now, I'm still not totally happy. Joan, are you looking at the YouTube? And this is great for radio, but we have a ton of people watching us. So,
and the listeners can also take a look at this and see if they feel the same as me. I don't think that the lighting is still good. You look too dark to me, and it's not very sharp either. So I really feel like it needs to
all right,
still be adjusted a little bit.
Look at it now, because I've actually turned on the overheads. Now I feel like, I'm a chicken McNugget being heated.
You don't have to turn the overheads on full strength.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But anyway.
I think that's better. I think it's better like this because we can see the features of your face.
Yeah, you're really popping.
Yeah, you're popping.
And listen, at my age, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
when you get older.
Can
it's
I
hard to...
can I tell you?
I'm ashamed of myself.
You know, you can see the camera into the dust encrusted news
Yes.
corner
Yes.
is glitching this morning. It's not working well.
That
I
also
wanna-
happens when you get to be older.
Right. Well, there's that. But I want to show you what the team left for us in the
Okay.
newsroom. Are you ready for this?
Sure. No,
Here's what they left us.
What is it for people on the radio?
They're dusters.
They left you dusters, did they?
They left us dusters, as in make sure you dust your space. That's what we got.
Wow. All right.
Feel good about yourself that you got a camera and beauty and
Yeah.
taken care of over there.
And actually, by the way, the last thing, to be perfectly honest, that I believe people want to see are the features of my face.
No, come on.
Listen, I'm getting older by the day. Every day I do this morning show, I am like,
Aren't we all?
I am like a year older. That's what the morning show toll is on us. But I actually think the lighter lighting is a lot.
Sorry
better,
about the people on the radio who are not seeing any of this.
I'm sorry. You know what the problem is? The problem, like every day, we have more and more people that engage with us on these videos
This is true.
and so forth. So
Yeah.
it is unfortunately a fact of life.
You know what's funny? I actually looked back, so all the live, any show we've done on YouTube is on there forever. And I looked at the oldest ones from like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And the first episode of it was like Matt Murphy show, and it just how bland it, how just simple it was because they just started to now the upgrade is ginormous.
Yeah. And by the way, we're joking about how nobody left us any instructions.
Oh, we were expecting that. I mean, it was a trial and error period.
I don't want the powers that be to think that I'm criticizing. That is actually a fact that nobody told us what all these remote controls were for, and nobody told us that we could change stuff. That is a fact. That's not a criticism. All that being said, great job.
Oh yeah, it looks
by
amazing.
everybody involved.
It's beautiful.
So it is.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
The backgrounds are awesome. I saw multiple other backgrounds during the other shows, and they all looked awesome. They were all cool.
8064. I'm radio only, guys, and this sounds so funny.
Guys, look, I'm juggling. Radio audience, I'm juggling.
We are. You know what the problem is? It's juggling radio audience and the folks that watch on video. There is a ton of people that watch on video. There was a guy I ran into a couple of days ago, and he said, this was actually really interesting. Do you know what he said? He said, I've never actually listened to you on the radio.
Oh.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he discovered us on YouTube, and he literally watches the show every day. He works at home. So he has never heard us on the radio. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
So, I have to tell you, my brother lives in Florida, and he and his wife listen using the internet. So they watch us. They've never listened to us on radio either. I think there's a lot of
There's a
people.
lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I've seen people comment from like West Virginia.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
from not even just Tennessee, like all around. It's so cool.
Well, and part of that, we all of us have listeners from out of state or out of country. I'm lucky enough that I get to do the national fill-in for Red Eye Radio. So there's a lot of people that have discovered me through there, and they just continue to listen, and it's a lot of fun. And the thing, you look at I feel like I'm bragging now, but you look at the people that listen to WTN from other countries. It is amazing how many people listen to us in faraway places like Italy. I don't understand it. Like they obviously have to be like Tennesseans that have gone abroad or whatever. But I find that whole thing just crazy. So anyway, it is 5:50 on Nashville's Morning News. Have we all decided this is the lighting? Joan, you like it? Joan, of course. I hate to tell you, KGB, but Joan is the mom of the show.
I know.
So what Joan says
And the
goes.
show marm.
I don't question her. I can't
The
question
show
the star
marm.
of the show, for the record.
Yeah.
You want
Anyway.
to? So I've edited I can change camera angles. Her specific camera has a star on it. I have a picture of a star on it, so she's the star of the show.
I'm the star.
You just really suck. I'm just.
You
saying,
want to know yours? Yours is a bald eagle.
Oh, I like that.
It works.
Not only am I bald, but occasionally I try to fly as well.
Yes.
But it's hard to fly when you're surrounded by turkeys.
Is
Bah, ha, 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 ha.
Listen, I thought that was funny.
Tried.
Whatever.
I don't know if you were insulting me or not, so I didn't know if I should laugh.
It was you. You're the turkey. It's hard to fly
When you're
surrounded by turkeys.
turkeys. That's me and you, KGB.
Ain't that hard, dude?
Man.
Listen, try to keep up. I know it's early. 5:51, Joan Jones has the news. Joan, what's coming up?
Hey, check this out. The makers of the new weapons detection system being used at Antioch High School, they're busy letting other schools cancel their contracts. We'll tell you what's going on there. Also, looks like Jim Acosta is going to find a new job.
He's not going to find a new job unless he goes to MSNBC.
True. Okay.
So
agreed.
And MSNBC, I don't know if they have room for that big of a blowhard.
Oh. Maybe not.
Listen, can you actually fit Jim Acosta in the same room with like Joy Reid and Rachel Maddow? Because that's a lot of egos. That's a lot of blowhards in one room.
Yeah, that's what do they call that? Circular firing?
The circular firing squad. That is exactly right. Anyway, go ahead, Joan. Proceed.
Oh, well, that's it. We'll deal with those coming up at 6 o'clock.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
5:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 2912 says that he's listening from Japan right now. Lives in Nashville, but on a business trip.
Well, check that out.
If you were in Japan, would you go to like McDonald's? Just to see if McDonald's is different in Japan than it is in...
Menus are different in different countries.
They
have
are.
stuff we don't have here.
They have different offerings.
Yeah.
My kids just came back from Italy, and they did the same thing.
They went to McDonald's in Italy?
Yep, just to see what different kinds of stuff they offer.
They serve alcohol there. At
Yeah.
Burger King, I know for a fact.
In Italy?
Yeah, you can get a beer at like Burger King.
It's different. It's different overseas.
Why can't you get alcohol at fast food places? Like, that must be a law. But why is that? I don't even know.
Maybe just getting the liquor license.
If
You
you
have to get
think
it per each each location. It's not just you can't do it for a chain. You have to location has to get those licenses.
What's
probably.
worse for you, like a Big Mac or drinking? Big Mac, I would
Both
say.
at the same time would be pretty bad for you.
Well, people do that. I've done that.
You've drinking a beer and had a Big Mac?
Not a beer, but I've had like a quarter pounder, and I've had a Dangria. Absolutely.
Dangria.
Is that a problem?
I think the problem is just calling it Dangria. I don't know. That's just me though.
Well, adapt or die. That's what I would say to you. Hey, you know who I heard from? I'm just kidding. You know who I heard from? Mac Maury.
Yeah.
Mac Maury, he's going to New Orleans. He's actually going to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to see if he'll come on with us and just, get a feel and, find out how he's doing. Because people ask him about, young Mac all the time. And by the way, he's doing fabulous. So we'll see if we can get him on and get maybe some experiences. I don't know if he's allowed to because some radio groups are kind of persnickety about.
Yeah. Sharing talent.
Yes.
But you raised him up good.
Well, you know what? Chris Hand. He worked with Chris Hand, and they had a great chemistry, great relationship, and, go Chiefs. Anyway, it is 6 o'clock, Nashville's Morning
Eagles?
News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
This is Nashville's news and talk leader, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A little cloudy this morning and 30 degrees. We're going to get a warm up today. Really nice. We've got the forecast coming up in just a moment. 2,200 students returning to Antioch High School today for the first time since a shooting last week. That school will observe a moment of silence at 11:09. That's the exact time the shooting occurred. The school also announcing that a third school resource officer has been added and students will walk through a new weapon detection system. Well, the company that makes that new system, it's called Evolve, has just settled with the federal government. And now it's allowing schools with contracts to back out of those contracts. The federal government accused Evolve of making false claims about what its detectors can do and how well the scanners can actually detect weapons. Evolve, in fact, has just laid off 14% of its staff, about 40 employees. Its stock has lost more than 10% over the last year. Meantime, a rally outside the Tennessee State Capitol building yesterday calling on lawmakers and Governor Bill Lee to present new gun legislation. Rallygoers also circulating a petition to return metal detectors to the school.
This is supposed to be the land of the free. But the freedom to go to school without getting shot is not one that we have.
The Change.org petition is available online. I just checked. There's about 2,300 signatures. President Trump huddled with House Republicans in Florida yesterday, touting the swift action to clear violent, illegal aliens out of the country and other executive actions that he's already taken.
The president speaking about his executive order being challenged in the courts that aims to end birthright citizenship, the constitutional right that any person born on U.S. soil is an American. Trump saying birthright citizenship was meant for the children of slaves.
It was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world and think they're going to become citizens. It's not meant for that.
Marines reinforcing the border fence near San Diego and military jets flying more migrants out of the U.S.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting. And there's news this morning that CNN's Jim Acosta will leave the network after 18 years. He was known, of course, for sparring with President Trump.
They're hundreds of miles away, though. They're hundreds and hundreds of miles away. That's not an invasion.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN. All right. And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
If I may ask one of
Daily Wire reporting that Acosta has told associates in private conversations that he intends to depart the network after being demoted to an overnight show. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Well, futures this morning are pointing up after a sell-off yesterday caused by that DeepSeek AI new app that is being touted by China. Dow futures this morning are up just 4 points, but we've got NASDAQ futures up 95 and the S&P futures are gaining 15. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a problem this morning. Southbound 65 in Davidson approaching Talbot's Corner. It's a multi-vehicle crash at mile marker 87.4, and the left shoulder is blocked off there. That's causing quite a backup, though. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What's worse for you, like a Big Mac or drinking? Big Mac, I would say.
Both at the same time would be pretty bad for you.
Well, people do that. I've done that.
Drinking a beer and had a Big Mac?
Not a beer, but I've had like a quarter pounder, and I've had a Dangria. Absolutely.
Dangria.
Is that a problem?
I think.
.606, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Tuesday, January 28th. Headline on Fox News: Trump signs executive orders to end DEI in the military. So I've noticed that there is a debate going on right now within conservative circles and Republican circles where they're arguing as to whether or not Donald Trump is signing too many executive orders. You're playing into the hands that he's a dictator, some will say. So right now, our Daily Dan poll, if you're watching on YouTube, take the Daily Dan poll, and the question basically is Donald Trump signing too many executive orders? We posted that at 5 o'clock, and so we are now at 6:07 here on Nashville's Morning News. And I don't know, KGB, what are the numbers like right now on the Daily Dan poll? You go to YouTube, you watch us in our new studio and our new lighting and all that, and you also take the poll. KGB, how does it look?
So right now it is 89% no, 6% undecided, and 5% yes.
So 5% of the people that took the poll are fully comfortable with, 5% are not comfortable with Trump signing all those executive orders. Okay. I'm part of the 89%. Like, I get it. I totally understand that the man is signing, I mean, every day. It is a flurry of executive orders. I get that. I understand that. Some of them, many of them are going through legal challenges, but I like what the president is doing because he's only got a couple of years. Now, just realize and just remember, though, that when it's time for a Democrat coming in as president, the precedent has been set by Donald Trump. Look forward to a lot of executive orders once the Democrats take over the White House and the Oval Office again. And so I'm just telling you that when we do it, they do it. And when they do it, we do it. And it's just one of those things. 6:09 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There is a lot going on. I'd forgotten to mention this yesterday. I need some audio, KGB, where J.D. Vance, and he was being interviewed, and this was over the weekend, and he spoke about the birthright citizenship executive order, Donald Trump wanting to end birthright citizenship. And it's going to have some legal challenges. Everybody knows that. Vance and Trump have been talking about how this notion of people coming here and having babies means they get to be citizens, and it's got to end. And I don't know exactly how much Trump wants to end as far as birthright citizenship goes. I think that what Trump wants to do is, frankly, end the corruption that is involved in birthright citizenship. I've spoken about this ad nauseum now, but you know, in years past, I've covered this extensively, where you have people from China and other places that come here. They're 8-9 months pregnant, and they have their babies here in this country. And that means that they get this dual citizenship. And, you know, for a lot of these countries, they actually sort of plan on this. It's part of what they do. It's part of their culture. And so it's being abused. The system truly is. Birthright citizenship is being abused. And I loved what J.D. Vance had to say.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by... This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship. America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first. And that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently, if you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would we make those people's children American citizens permanently?
You know, this romanticized notion that our country is founded by immigrants is certainly true. I mean, that is true. But as you just heard J.D. Vance say, we were founded by legal immigration. Not a bunch of gang members coming across our southern border, which, by the way, there's also a lot of fentanyl, as you know, coming across our southern border as well. I'm not saying that everyone coming across our southern border are gang bangers and, you know, drug dealers and all that kind of stuff, but it is certainly coming across our border by the thousands. And so these days we have mobs crashing through our borders. We have this scourge of birthright tourism and people taking advantage of our country. That is what's going on. And it is a problem. And so when you put it in that context, yeah, that does need to be fixed. It's not that hard to understand unless you're Margaret Brennan over there on, I think it's CBS. And by the way, one of the things that the Democrats, then I'm going to move on because I've got some economy stuff that I want to talk about. But one of the things that the Democrats are clearly forgetting is that their Lord and Savior, Barack Obama, said this.
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
6:13, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7, WTN. Dan Mandis here. J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. Trump said something really interesting. I don't know if you heard about this or you heard this, but last night in a speech to Congress, and by the way, it's 7:06, Scott Desjardins is going to join us. He was there with this speech, Donald Trump speaking to members of Congress, and it seems like he's made this comment that he is maybe indicating that he is going to drop income taxes and focus on tariffs.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
So you got a little bit of a golf clap there. I don't know. I think people maybe, didn't know where he was going with this, but I know exactly where Trump is going. Trump wants to make America rich or richer with tariffs from other countries. And if we can get a bunch of income from those tariffs from China and all of these other nations, well, then we can lower or perhaps get rid of income taxes. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't know how realistic that is. It seems like a great idea to me as a guy who pays a crap ton of taxes. I love that idea of China paying up a bunch of more tariffs to make up for our lack of income taxes. But again, I don't know. I'll ask Scott Desjardins about that coming up at 7:06 here on Nashville's Morning News. But J.D. Vance and a bunch of other folks are talking about the state of your economy and my economy, America's economy. And I think it's really interesting how this discussion is being framed as far as the price of eggs. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN.
No problem. 24 or
6:15, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather today, we got a high of 55 degrees. Right now, 35 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you remember the lunatic over at MSNBC? Played this yesterday. It's Elie Mystal.
And a majority of white people voted for this. This is the disgusting version of America that people want. And oh, by the way, eggs are still more expensive. So you didn't even get that. Great job, white folks.
I mean, that made a ton of headlines yesterday. Forget about the fact that in 2016, Donald Trump had 8% of the black vote. That went up to about 12% in 2020 and well over 20% in 2024, just depending on the polling. Do you know that a poll actually came out yesterday that shows that between January of 2021 and 2023, 69% of black voters approved of Donald Trump's job performance. This is January 21st and the 23rd. 69% of black voters approved of Donald Trump's job performance compared to 50% of white voters. So literally in the first couple of days, now just to be honest, it is absolutely silly to be talking about job performance after, a weekend. But here's the great thing is that, just go with me here, is that in the first couple of days of Trump's administration, more black voters approved of Donald Trump's performance than white voters. 69% of black voters versus 50% of white voters. Now, I'm not sure if old Elie Mystal over there on MSNBC had anything to say about that. Probably not. But you heard him complaining about the price of eggs, as Donald Trump has been, again, in office all of a week. Well, then the economy, of course, was brought up during this interview with Margaret Brennan and J.D. Vance. over on CBS and Face the Nation. You've probably heard this already.
You were talking about bacon on the campaign trail.
Of course. of course.
Those things, when do consumers actually get to touch and feel a difference in their lives?
Well, Margaret, how does bacon get to the grocery store? It comes on trucks that are fueled by diesel fuel. If the diesel's way too expensive, the bacon's going to become more expensive. How do we grow the bacon? Our farmers need energy to produce it. So if we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for.
So everybody is now talking about the cost of eggs. I've got audio from James Carville also talking about the cost of eggs. Other people have as well. Now, a couple of things. Realize that Trump has, again, been in office for all of at the time of that interview, I think maybe 5 days. But there's a few things here. It is way too early to expect economic results from Donald Trump. It just is. It is a very complicated thing, but you just heard J.D. Vance say, but here's what Donald Trump is actively doing right now to lower the cost of eggs. He's trying to help the economy by fixing our issues with energy production. Remember what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden did a lot to sabotage Donald Trump's first months in office by trying to ban oil production here in America on his way out the door. 625 million acres across U.S. federal waters. That includes off of the Pacific coast of California, Oregon, Washington, and of course, Alaska as well. And so realize that when Joe Biden did that, not only was he sabotaging our oil independence, he was sabotaging your prices on groceries and my prices for groceries too, because everything goes back to the cost of gas. Everything goes back to energy. And so you just heard J.D. Vance talk about, shipping the bacon from one place to another. I mean, that's with all of the groceries. And so when the cost of gasoline is higher, then everything is higher. And I love how simple J.D. Vance puts it, and it is true.
If we lower energy prices, we are going to see lower prices for consumers, and that is what we're trying to fight for.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's a shortcut. Anyway, 620 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. I will play you that audio coming up with James Carville because to me, number one, what he is saying about Donald Trump and the economy, equally as ridiculous. But, you do have folks on the left that are screaming after a week that eggs and bacon are still expensive. Biden had years to get us here. And it's going to take a long time to unravel everything that Joe Biden did to stymie the economy, including those executive orders on domestic oil production. But here's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is that at least the party that got us here, at least the party that did this to us, was voted out of office. Biden and the Democrats were not rewarded for destroying the economy. He wasn't rewarded for jacking up inflation with all of that spending. That's a good thing. So at the very least, we voted in a guy who will understand and does understand that things are really expensive and he's trying to do something to fix it, which is a far cry from what the Biden administration and the Democrats were trying to do. 621 on Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones has the news at 6:30. Joan.
We'll tell you what led up to the shooting death of a baby in Murfreesboro over the weekend. Also, state lawmakers getting back to work in their special session. They will not be taking up gun control legislation. Those stories coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. 621. Dan Mandis here. You know that I always recommend Mark Spain here in Nashville because I do trust that they're going to sell your home hassle-free with a strong all-cash offer. Now, they've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years now, and they've served over 58,000 families. And with all those clients, Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. Do you know that with all those reviews, they've got over 12,500 five-star reviews? Now, you can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast and for maximum profit and the least amount of hassle. That is what we like to call the guaranteed offer. Now, you know the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends have both consistently named Mark Spain Real Estate as a top real estate team in America for 8 years in a row, including being ranked #1 in the nation for closed transactions 5 years in a row. Now, there's a reason they've got so much success. It is that guaranteed offer. A quick sale, maximum profit, least amount of hassle. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Call them today for that guaranteed offer on your home. 855-299-SOLD. 855-299-SOLD. Online anytime at markspain.com and start packing. 627. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I love the question posed to James Carville.
On a fascism scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being peak fascism, how would you rate Trump's first week?
I mean, good Lord, man. Seriously, that was the question posed to James Carville. Now, obviously a loaded question. This was on MSNBC, and part of what they're talking about is all of the executive orders, which Donald Trump is utilizing at blinding speed. That is, of course, the Daily Dan poll. Basically, the question is over on YouTube. If you watch us on YouTube, answer the poll question. Do you believe that Donald Trump is issuing too many executive orders? But listen to the answer by James Carville.
I mean, look, he just says anything that he wants to say. I mean, how many stories I have to read that the Delta smelt has nothing to do with this? But he's just going to keep plowing through, okay?
And so there are times when he sounds, what's the right word? He sounds pretty much akin to Biden. You know what I mean? Just kind of rambling and not making any sense. So he starts going on about this stuff that Donald Trump says, which it is interesting because you have Trump and he says things and the left will say, oh, those are lies and oh, that's not true. And I don't believe that the left understands that when Trump says things, oftentimes they're true, even if they refuse to accept that reality. And he may not always be right on target, but he's darn close. I mean, talking about the smelt out there in northern and central California. There are multiple articles on the reason why, from the LA Times and from Reuters and other places, the reason why California can't get the water from the north and the central to the south is because of wildlife concerns, smelt concerns. So I don't know. Who are you going to believe, the LA Times or James Carville? Got a lot more straight ahead. Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Good morning, 6:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're learning more about the murder of a 1-year-old baby in Murfreesboro on Saturday.
Murfreesboro police say the killer was angry with the mother of the child for playing music too loud inside an apartment at the Chelsea Place Apartments on Bradyville Pike, where the shooting happened around 2:30 on Saturday. 24-year-old Marquavius Hampton of Chapel Hill allegedly shot the 1-month-old in a stroller. The mother struck in the hand, trying to put herself between her baby and Hampton. Police say Hampton turned a gun on himself while running from law enforcement who had been alerted by license plate reader cameras of his presence in Williamson County. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Tennessee state lawmakers back to work today after their special session yesterday, during which they voted on the 7 bills presented by Governor Lee that cover his school voucher program, disaster relief for immigration, disaster relief, make that for Hurricane Helene, and also immigration. Channel 4's Stacey Cameron on what happens today.
Those bills will be read and voted on again, and then they get sent to committees. That's where the real work and debate gets done. If the bills get out of those committees on day 2 or 3, the whole House will come back here, debate and vote on the floor by the full body. That could happen as early as Wednesday.
Dozens of the nation's top foreign aid workers are off the job.
In another sweeping move by the Trump administration, nearly 60 senior officials at the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, have been placed on leave, including nearly all senior attorneys. An email obtained by ABC News sent by acting USAID Administrator Jason Gray accuses the agency of circumventing President Trump's executive orders, but it doesn't give details. The Trump administration issued an order Friday essentially freezing nearly all foreign aid delivered through international nonprofit partners. That move will impact health care work, disaster relief, and anti-poverty efforts around the world. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got Dow futures minus 51 now. The NASDAQ futures, however, plus 20. S&P futures are up 2.5 points. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 632, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Jonathan Fahey, by the way, is going to join us coming up here at 6:35. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. They are your Rude Pro partner, and they're my partner as well. I love these folks, and I've been working with them for years. Now, Busy Bee is always looking for ways to save you money. Here, very cold January, some red hot deals. Get a free air duct cleaning with a purchase of a new complete whole home AC, or get a free air duct cleaning package upgrade. So you buy the middle package, you're automatically going to be upgraded to the deluxe. And they're also offering you 15% off indoor air quality products. Now, you can also get a free smart thermostat with any HVAC replacement. Now, that means that you can control your comfort from anywhere. Save money and stay warm this January with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. busybehvac.com.
This report.
We've got a crash this morning, southbound 65 at Trinity Lane. It's blocking the right shoulder and causing quite a backup there. Also in Nashville, an accident, Harding Place at Danby Drive. And in Clarksville, 24, the westbound lanes, the off-ramp to Rossview Road. That's exit 8. The off-ramp there is partially blocked by a crash. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Jones. 635, Dan Mandis here. You know, when I first started thinking about lens replacement to treat my cataracts, I was really nervous. I had all kinds of concerns running through my head. Was it painful? How long is the downtime? I've also heard a lot of myths, like you'll still need glasses or the results simply are not permanent. However, during my consultation with Dr. Horn at Vision for Life, he took the time to answer all my questions and address the common myths. He explained that it is a quick 5-minute procedure. Now, tomorrow is my big day. Most patients feel little to no discomfort. Recovery times are fast, and many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. Now, we'll see what happens with me, but what stood out to me was the personalized care. Dr. Horn tailored a plan specific to my needs and my goals. He'll do the same thing for you. He walked me through the lens options and how they could help me not just to restore my vision, but also my quality of life. If you've been putting off cataract surgery, don't. Call 615-436-2020. That's 615-436-2020. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Find them online, visionforlife.com. .636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Watch us on YouTube, watch us on X, watch us on Facebook and 99.7WTN.com. If you're looking for podcasts of the show, they are literally everywhere. Apple Podcasts and everywhere you get your podcasts. You can find me there in Nashville's Morning News. One of the segments we always podcast is our conversations with Jonathan Fahey, who joins us right now. Jonathan, always great to have you on Super Talk 99.7. And there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. But one of the things I thought was interesting, and I haven't really covered this much because, the news, as we've been saying, is like drinking through a fire hose these days. But Donald Trump firing all of those inspectors general. So, again, you got all the Democrats talking about how he is acting like acting like a dictator and all of these other things. And I think part of the thing that Trump is trying to do is he's trying to get rid of, the partisan inspector generals. Is that part of the reason why he did this?
Yeah, exactly. And it is kind of funny watching these Democrats, they're melting down, and it's all performative, as you know. Like, nobody really cares about this issue, I don't think, at a high level. But, yeah, I think it's part of what he's doing is getting rid of people that are partisan or not doing their jobs, because the inspector generals are supposed to get rid of waste, fraud, and abuse. So this idea that the people he won't put in won't be better at that is hard argument to make. And I think it is just, another sign of the left just totally melting down. The other thing that's kind of interesting is when you look at all the appointments they're melting down over is, Donald Trump ran as anti-establishment. He's going to change things. And then the left melts down every time he does something that is anti-establishment, when he doesn't pick an establishment person for Secretary of Defense or anything else. So it is quite interesting watching this unfold.
Oh, Pete Hegseth, I mean, what a perfect example. And I think part of the problem that the Democrats have and the media that supports them is that everything is hair on fire. And I think that is a problem that they have, because the more that they do this, it's like the boy that cried wolf. It's like if everything is hair on fire, then nothing is.
Yeah, exactly. And John Fetterman pointed that out. Like, we're not going to melt, he was saying he's not going to melt down over every single little thing. And it is funny that some of them, there's a part of it that's really, I think, just a laziness to it. They're just so easy. It's such an easy thing to do, to just always go into hysterics and get mad. And they don't have to be serious in any way. So it's sort of, they reverted to this sort of reflexive laziness, anti-Trump at every turn. But I think the American public, they've lost the plot. I think the American people have figured this one out and aren't really buying it anymore.
I want to play you some audio. We had fun with this earlier, but a lot of people were still asleep. This is Selena Gomez.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything
So that I don't know if you've seen that, heard that, but that was a video. Selena Gomez, of course, actress, performer, performative, whatever. And she's crying. And this is called, by the way, in case you don't know, Jonathan, this is called cry fishing, where what you do is you pretend to be, really emotional and crying to get clicks and to get likes and reaction on the socials and everything else. But basically she went viral because she's crying because she says these are her people that are getting deported. And one of the things that I said earlier was, it's interesting. If these are your people, Selena Gomez, then, I mean, you keep some very strange company, because these are gang members and drug dealers and murderers and rapists. So I think now she deleted the post, I think, pretty quickly, but I think that goes to show you this performative nature of what is going on the left right now.
Yeah, it's really funny. And what's kind of funny is how bad professional actors and actresses are at crying. It's incredible, because it's reminiscent of Alec Baldwin pretending to cry during the Rush shooting thing where he's wiping his eyes. And it's so funny because it's like, yeah, these are her people, but she lives in one of these shows showed a picture of her mansion that she lives in, and she doesn't seem to care the least about the American citizens that are paying enormous costs for the illegal aliens that are here, not just in the crimes, the human trafficking, all of these other things, but in terms of just regular day-to-day costs with overcrowded schools, overcrowded hospitals. Your housing prices are out of control because we added 10 million people. She couldn't care less about that. She doesn't clearly care about the illegal aliens, but she's just doing this, again, performative. But it's just funny how, they're so oblivious to their own hypocrisy and the way that they're perceived that at very least this hurts her cause, whatever her cause might be. But I don't think anyone feels any more sympathetic to the illegal aliens being removed after Selena Gomez pretended to cry than they did beforehand. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. You know, these Hollywood people, I think everyone after this election, even the Democrats, I think are going to tone down the Hollywood endorsements because they're anything but effective and mostly offensive to most people.
Well, and I think part of the problem, Jonathan Fahey, is that you have all of these folks and they're saying that Donald Trump is deporting families and deporting children when he's not. So if it ever gets to the point, and I don't think that it will, but if it ever gets to the point where Trump is now deporting families and children, then if they're going to be screaming then, well, nobody's going to listen to them because, again, it's like the boy that cried wolf. Do you think that we'll ever get to, listening to Tom Homan and some interview with he did, and he says that he doesn't know if they'll ever get to families or people that are simply here illegally because he admits, and Trump has admitted this too, we don't have the money or the resources to find all those people, but we can get the low-hanging fruit, and that is the most dangerous of those illegal immigrants.
I think that's exactly right, and that's going to keep them busy for quite some time. But I think a couple of important points. One, by doing this, this has an enormous deterrent to people that want to come in here illegally, knowing that they might get kicked out. So they're not going to pay these exorbitant fees for the coyotes to come here. So that's one, we're stopping the flow. The other thing that's really good for the people that are here illegally now, this is going to be a great deterrent to them committing any crime because they know if they get hooked up for something, they're now going to be deported. So that will also make the community safer. You know, I do wonder going forward what the best move is. Part of, if you really look at why do we have so many people here illegally, it's because the Biden administration encouraged it and financially incentivized it. So you do wonder if it wouldn't be a bad move to incentivize people to leave, maybe pay them some sort of small monetary, fee and allow them to leave with the opportunity to maybe in the future, apply to come and legally immigrate. And if they don't do that, then they'll never have the opportunity to do so. But I think on the short term, meaning in the next few years, there's plenty of criminals and plenty of people already ordered deported that's going to keep them quite busy.
Jonathan, you worked with President Trump during the first administration with ICE. And so part of this is messaging, right? Because if you have Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and a lot of other Republicans basically telegraphing you will be sent back, then that does impact their desire to make that dangerous trek. I'm going to ask you to answer that coming up, 6:45, time to check the roads on WTN.
I'm Christy O'Brien.
Weather today, a high of 55. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, 35 degrees now. So, Jonathan Fahey, the messaging is important for a number of reasons. Number one is it discourages people to come here, but the other part of that is that it encourages people to leave.
Yeah, exactly. And, part of discouraging people to come here, which is really important, is these drug trafficking organizations and human trafficking organizations were charging, $7,000 to $9,000 per person to get them to the country. So it's starving them of their funds, which is making them weaker, which also benefits Americans. But yeah, incentivize people to not come, to leave. And the prior administration incentivized everyone to come, maligned anyone that said anything about it as racist and xenophobe, and provided every single benefit. I don't know of a single benefit the Democrats would oppose illegal aliens getting that American citizens get. And American citizens, at least most of us, we don't get things like free phones and free hotel rooms. So, yeah, I think the messaging is enormous. And you just saw it yesterday with the Colombian president, how quickly he changed his tune. And the other thing that's interesting, a lot of these sanctuary states and cities are changing their tune. There's sort of a sleight of hand, but, Governor Pritzker the other day made a comment, something to the effect of, well, of course we want violent, criminals removed, which has not been the policy in Illinois. Their policy in Illinois has been indistinguishable between violent felons and anyone else with their sanctuary city policies. So a lot of these sanctuary cities, sanctuary states are going to yield. They won't admit that they're doing so, But, I talked about this yesterday on Fox with the countries, but the sanctuary cities are going to be two categories very quickly. They're going to be the ones that cooperate and the ones that wish they did. And that second group is going to get so small so quickly because it's going to be painful for them.
One of the things I thought was interesting is Trump, he wants to, and Speaker Mike Johnson has indicated that they might do this, try to tie aid to California to voter ID. I'm going to be honest with folks. I feel like that is holding badly needed funds hostage. So this is one of those moments where, and I've been honest with folks, I'm not always on board with Donald Trump, and I'm not sure where I'm at on that. I mean, is it fair to say to the people of California that you don't get, needed funds to recover from these fires unless your state legislature, and they filed legislation yesterday to do this, Republicans did, unless your state enacts voter ID? What do you think about that?
I think the brilliant thing about Donald Trump doing this, which is like so many things, he's bringing the issue to the forefront that they don't have voter ID. They oppose any sort of safeguards to make sure citizens vote. So I think he just brings the issue to a head. I think ultimately they're going to get the need because Donald Trump, as you saw from that press conference roundtable of Karen Bass last week, he really cares about California and wanting to improve things. And this is sort of in his wheelhouse, this construction type of thing. So I don't think they'll hold up any aid, but I do think there should be a serious conversation. He's brought it up in other forums in which he's talking about election integrity, day voting, paper ballots, all of these things, which we really need to discuss. It's total nonsense the way our electoral system is, particularly places like California where there's no voter ID. They do nothing to ensure people are even citizens. If you suggest that there might be an issue, they call you names to try to get you to not even question them. But we really should have a system where everyone can rely that the people voting are citizens and allowed to vote and are who they say they are. That seems perfectly reasonable. And even Al Sharpton, who probably opposed it but went to Costco yesterday, and of course, I think you have to have an ID to go to Costco to prove you're a member. So all of these people are used to going. Yeah, so all of these people are used to having IDs for and no one even thinks twice about it. It's not even that big a deal, right? So it's like, find the 10 people that don't have an ID, and the Democratic Party can take them to DMV and get them an ID rather than spend hundreds of millions of dollars fighting things in court, which is what they've currently been doing, which exposes what they're really doing, which is trying to get people that aren't allowed to vote to vote.
You bring up such a great point, and I should know this, which is with Donald Trump, everything is a negotiation, and he is all about marketing. Remember, way back when it was, what was it? I forget, Little Marco, Crooked Hillary, and all these other things. Well, Trump doing what he's doing and saying that, you're not going to get aid unless you have voter ID, that's kind of the same thing. He's branding a certain issue in a way that it does bring that conversation to the forefront. Jonathan Fahey, always great to have you on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Looking forward to speaking to you again soon. By the way, if you heard Jonathan mention dropping Fox. He's on Fox and Fox Business all the time. You can also catch him there, 6:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Go take our poll. Watch us on YouTube. By the way, for those of you that were laughing at how pitiful my particular feed yesterday looked on YouTube, it looks a lot better today. So go check it out. And also take our poll, like and subscribe to the channel as well on YouTube. The poll question today is, do you agree with Donald Trump's the number of executive orders? Because people are saying, oh, he's fascist and all these dictators. Whatever. I do agree with the executive orders. KGB, you're the one that watches the results. What are they?
87% say no and 7% undecided, and also 7% say yes. So it's a landslide.
So 87% agree with the number of executive orders.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So
only 13% disagree, and how many are undecided?
7% undecided, 7% say yes.
Are we
so
allowed
it's
to
kind
vote?
of a split.
Are we allowed to vote?
Do you have your ID?
It's not required everywhere,
Joan, for you, we'll make an exception.
Okay, I voted.
What did you vote? How did you vote?
I voted no. I had never voted on it, so I thought, ooh, I'm going to take a look at
Do you know
this.
what? I don't know if I've ever voted.
Oh, you got to go do it. It's kind of fun.
How silly is it that I've never voted? Anyway,
Right.
6:52, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fresh from voting, because your voice matters.
That's right.
It's Joan Jones, and she's going to use that voice now to tell us what's coming up at 7.
All right, more charges in that sex trafficking ring that was busted in Antioch last month. Also, is it Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America? We'll tell you what Google is saying about its Google Maps.
I love that story.
Yeah, that's coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you, Joan. Congressman Scott Desjardins is going to join us. And by the way, just so you folks know that I know, and I've said this 1,000 times, the cost of eggs. Joan, have you seen the bird flu? And you got all these chickens that are having to be euthanized because of the bird flu.
Yeah.
They'll put down hundreds of thousands of chickens at a time.
Yes.
It is horrific.
It
so
is.
part of the problem is that with the rising cost of eggs is that these chickens have the bird flu. And so you got to put down all the chickens, which means that there's less chickens to lay eggs, which means supply and demand. That means that the cost of eggs are going to go up. The difference between the cost of eggs now, a week into Donald Trump's presidency, and Joe Biden is that Donald Trump is making a concerted effort to fix the problems with rising prices across the board. So Trump may not be able to do anything about the bird flu, but if he can, fix the domestic oil issues and the fact that Biden is doing or did do everything he could to stop domestic oil production, if Trump can get that all cleared away and all those barriers and obstacles cleared away, then we can lower the price of gas, lower the price of all that. And that means that the cost of groceries will be lower. Running late, 6:54. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. WTN, Dan Mandis here every night at homework time. I thank the Lord for Xfinity Internet. Now we can stay connected with Wi-Fi coverage that delivers the speed we need, and you can too in your home. Now, you know that over the holidays, I did a ton of fill-in work nationally and across the country. I do that all the time. I rely on Xfinity for my rock-solid internet that I use, and you can do it too. Now, listen, homework and our jobs don't wait for the internet to work. You do need a reliable connection even when everyone is online and working. I rely on Xfinity. And if there are issues, by the way, Xfinity has 24/7 customer service here for you whenever you need it with in-home Wi-Fi support. And if you're on the go, you can stay connected with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. So get the best Wi-Fi for your life, whether it's doing homework with the kids or work for the paycheck. Rock-solid internet is only a phone call away with Xfinity. To get started, call 1-800-XFINITY, 1-800-XFINITY, online at Xfinity.com, or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. 6:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, coming up. Yesterday, Donald Trump addressed members of Congress. One of those congressmen was Scott Desjardins. He's going to join us coming up next, right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got to let you know about a crash that's making a mess of 65 this morning, southbound at Trinity Lane. The right shoulder is blocked off, and there is a big delay behind it. We'll detail more of that in traffic and weather coming up after the news. One person is dead after a two-car crash last night in Murfreesboro. 3 others were injured, and one of them is in critical condition. This happened about 6:45 last night on Middle Tennessee Boulevard. That road was shut down for a while from Park Avenue to Haley Road. The crash is still under investigation. An additional charge has now been filed after a group of men who were in the country illegally took off running when police closed in on their prostitution operation.
The Department of Justice has filed another charge against one of the 5 illegal immigrants rounded up in a sex trafficking raid in Antioch earlier this month. The Tennessee Star says 28-year-old Elmer Umberto Aparicio was charged on Friday with unlawful possession of a firearm by an illegal alien. Aparicio allegedly admitted to possessing a pistol and throwing it away while he was running from law enforcement as they searched a 5-acre property with a building modified for use as a brothel. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Well, just as you're paying more for eggs, there's a new strain of the bird flu that's being detected.
As a fast-moving bird flu outbreak sends egg prices skyrocketing, word the U.S. has now detected a different, more rare strain of bird flu in California. According to a new global health alert, that farm was forced to destroy nearly 119,000 birds. Last week, a farm on New York's Long Island had to kill 100,000 ducks after an outbreak. And in Illinois, Cockadoodle Farm lost 3,000 hens in a matter of days.
ABC's Ariel Reshef reporting. Next time you open your Google Maps app, check for some changes prompted by President Trump. Google says it will change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. It'll also start using the name Mount McKinley for the mountain in Alaska that's currently called Denali. However, users in Mexico are still going to see the words Gulf of Mexico on their maps. And I just checked this morning, it's still Gulf of Mexico on Google Maps. Well, I guess we'll have to wait for that change to come. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
It was the tale of two markets Monday, with the Dow Jones adding 289 points to finish at 44,713. The broader market S&P 500 fell nearly 1.5%. The Nasdaq Composite plunged more than 3%. Shareholders in those Nasdaq component companies hope to claw back some of Monday's losses that came on news of a less expensive artificial intelligence model from China. American AI chip company NVIDIA lost $600 billion in value Monday. The people of East Palestine, Ohio, and Norfolk Southern have reached a $22 million settlement stemming from a 2023 train derailment. The accident sparked an explosion and massive cloud of chemical smoke that hung over the town for days.
That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather coming up. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, 65 southbound, that crash still blocking the right shoulder and a big delay behind it. Southbound 65, it's at Trinity Lane, exit 87, and things are backed up in that area. Also, 40 westbound after Donaldson Pike, exit 216B. There's an accident on the right shoulder, and that right shoulder is also blocked. Now, 2 right lanes blocked as well in Smyrna, 24, the eastbound lanes past Sam Ridley Parkway, and it's stop and go up to that spot as well. Brentwood, a crash in the HOV lane blocked on 65 northbound under Old Hickory Boulevard South, exit 74. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.705 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to your Tuesday, January 28th. Hope you're doing well. So someone is taking me to task on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986.
Oh, good. What is it?
They don't like the fact that Joan did it too, that we made fun of.
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything I've...
Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
We played that audio, and someone said, and I respect everyone who has something negative to say about me. I'm not real, thin-skinned. So I'm a talk show host. It's sort of understood that we're going to get criticized all the time. But here's the deal. Person said on the Super Text line, those are real emotions, and you shouldn't be making fun of her. First of all, I don't believe that they're real. I think that this is, as we spoke about, way earlier, cry fishing, which is a thing people do on social media. They cry, pretend to cry, drum up some crocodile tears, and then post it. And you're fishing for engagement. That's part of what she's doing. But here's the other thing. Selena Gomez, she posted it. And so she is fair game. She was looking for reaction. She got a reaction, by the way, and she immediately took it down. Now, Congressman Scott Desjardins is joining us here on Super Talk 99.7. And Congressman, I don't know if you've seen the news, but this is just coming out now, Fox News. ICE begins first major immigration raids in New York City, but they're talking about ICE raids all across the country today. So apparently today may be day one of what is being described as a blitz. Your reaction?
Well, I think it's long overdue. We've seen increases in crime across the country. Sanctuary cities that used to, tell the government to stay out are asking people to come in and clean up their problems. So it's probably one of the major election issues that President Trump ran on. We all ran on is, either the economy or the border. And, be careful what you ask for, because this is what people wanted and this is what they're going to get, especially the violent criminals. That's who he's targeting first.
Absolutely. And part of this audio with Selena Gomez, of course, is that she, like many others, they're trying to portray the president as going after, children and families, which is not what's happening. And so there is a dishonesty, and this tells you that the media still hasn't learned that there is a dishonesty where you have people in the media that are talking about and reporting that Trump is going after families and children, and he's not. And if you want to air quote children, yeah, he's going after maybe 13, 14-year-old gangbangers who are in middle schools, and they're recruiting other people for MS-13, which is exactly what happens. That's where MS-13 does a lot of their recruiting. I talked about this yesterday. Congressman, they do it in the schools, in the middle schools.
Exactly. And under Obama's Dreamers, I mean, what a great name, Dreamers. Most of the Dreamers were 16 to 18-year-old men who, in other countries, we don't have work, or they don't have the work restrictions we do in this country for young people. So people grow up quicker in tough environments. And so by the time you're 14, 15, 16, you can definitely be involved in criminal activities. We see that in our own country. So you can call a 15-year-old gang member shooting people a dreamer if you want to. I call him a criminal, and that's who Trump's going after.
So, Congressman, you were in the room yesterday when Donald Trump was speaking, and it made some news yesterday for a number of different reasons. But let's talk a little bit about one of the things that Trump said regarding taxes.
Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich foreign nations, we should be tariffing and taxing foreign nations to enrich our citizens. Does that make sense, right?
So that is the audio that has everybody saying, well, the president seems to be intimating that he wants to eliminate all income taxes and make up for that revenue with tariffs. Tell me about the context and how do you interpret that?
Well, it's interesting. I spent quite a bit of time thinking about that, not whether it will work or not. There's always the risk of retaliatory tariffs from countries when you place tariffs on them that can impact businesses we have here. I think his message was pharmaceutical companies have moved overseas. Chip manufacturers have moved overseas, mostly in Taiwan. And he wants to incentivize those companies to come back to the U.S. I think he was talking like a 15% tax rate if you come and build in the United States. But he's already talked about not taxing tips, which has been around here in discussion for a while. He also talked about not taxing Social Security. Can you imagine how happy that would make seniors? And not taxing overtime. So there's a lot of tax cuts in there, and that's fine as long as you can offset them with tax revenue. So, I mean, the guy's a businessman. I'm willing to listen to his plan to see if it works. We just don't want to hurt American companies by foreign nations doing the same thing to us. But certainly, our tax code seems unfair. I've always been kind of a flat tax or a consumption tax person. But anything we can do to increase revenue and decrease the incentives for people moving their businesses out of the country, I'm certainly willing to take a look at.
Congressman Scott Desjardins joins us here on Nashville's Morning News. Congressman, one of the things, well, first of all, real quick, because I've got people that ask me almost on a daily basis, where are we with no tax on tips? So I'm going to ask you, where are we at? I don't think it's hard to keep up with all of his executive orders, I'm going to be honest. He has not executive ordered anything on no tax on tips.
No, he spoke of it again last night. He says there'll be no tax on tips, and so I don't know if that's part of the reconciliation package where we do the tax extender, his tax cuts from 17 that we did through reconciliation are set to expire this year. So that's something that is on the front burner, and I would guess that it would be in that package. So he seemed pretty adamant last night that there'd be no tax on tips, and we'll see whether no tax on Social Security and the overtime also becomes a part of that. So I don't know when exactly it would take effect. Not exactly sure if that can be done through executive order, but it certainly was something he spent a bit of time on.
So what was your general reception or perception as to how this conversation with Donald Trump went? Was it only Republican? Two-part question. Was it only Republicans in the room? And number two, how was it received? Because we are hearing from some that are saying that even within the Republican Party, there are some that are saying, okay, ease up on some of these executive orders and actions because, some would say, I don't, but some would say that he's playing into the hands of what the left is saying, which is that he is acting like a dictator.
Well, executive orders are nothing new. On day one, Biden stopped the Keystone Pipeline, implemented New Green Deal or the Green New Deal. all kinds of things that he did. Now, Trump is definitely at a frantic pace from what we're used to. But, there's a lot of things that needed to be done immediately, especially with the border, remain in Mexico, drilling, energy policies. Most of what he's done, I think, is very helpful. He's wanting to end birthright citizenship, which was, as he mentioned last night, was designed originally during slavery for children born, and we want to get back to where there should be at least one U.S. parent involved to end this anchor baby type thing, because I think that's positive. I would say the room was very receptive. Trump is very upbeat. He's a different guy. They've been going after him really since he ran the first time, and their whole sole purpose, they being the media and everyone else that hates Trump, to keep him from being elected. Now he's been elected, so they really don't have that threat to deal with anymore. So I guess now they're going to have to attack his policies. But, he went through a myriad of things. I can't even list them all. Trump, he never has a long story. It just takes quite a while to make it short.
Yeah.
And so, he went through, the military. There's only going to be two genders, no female athletes or men competing in female sports, which is very popular. Recruiting in the military has been down. He's got Hegseth in there that's going to clean that up, get rid of critical race theory, DEI, and bring the military back to what it's supposed to be. Talk about how we're already respected around the world, and people are paying attention to us again. Went through just a myriad of ideas and thoughts that are too numerous to list. But I think overall, the message was unity. We always have a half a dozen people that can't get to yes, no matter how good the bill is. And I think everyone realizes for us to be successful, we have to stick together as a team. And that's hard to do when you have such a slim majority. But I do think it's important. I think I said on your show before, I've been elected in the 4th District of Tennessee, which is very conservative. I have a very conservative voting record, but they also overwhelmingly elected Trump and his agenda. And I don't think they would want me not to play along with his ideas and his policies within reason. And so, I understand that I'm going to take some votes that may have a little more compromise sometimes than I'm used to. But if it's what it takes to get the agenda moving forward and get the country back on track, that's what the nation voted for. And, that's what we intend to do. So I think there was a real message of unity. I think Trump was very well received. He was very relaxed. He danced to the YMCA on the way out again. And, it's just he's a different guy. He seems a little more charismatic, a little less abrasive. Still says things to antagonize the left-wing media. Talked about a third term. I know that's a joke, but I think he does that just to put a bee in their bonnet. So, but yeah, all in all, I think it was real well received, and we'll see once we get down to the making the sausage, if you will, how easy it is to keep people on board. But I know he's going to be directly involved with the people that don't see things his way.
717, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Congressman Scott Desjardins is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. Quick check for traffic on WTN.
Christy O'Brien.
717, your weather today, a high of 55. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Congressman, spending, congressional spending, and the budget always at the forefront of conversations. Where are we at with, one big bill versus two smaller bills and all of that? I mean, has there been a lot of conversation about that, and which direction is Trump going these days?
He seemed more neutral last night. We definitely want to do border issues first because it's literally destroying our country. And, he's sending troops to the border. He wants to, finish building the wall, put up all the barriers, do these deportations. And so, that seems to be what we're going after first. We definitely are going to look at making the tax cuts permanent. I don't have a preference personally. Maybe doing it all at once would be better if we could get it done. It's very complicated, and it's a big process, but it's an important process. In 2017, under Paul Ryan, we had about 3 things we wanted to get done: dealing with Obamacare, dealing with taxes, and really taxes were about the only thing we got done. So the more we can get done in the first reconciliation bill, I think the better, because Trump's window of opportunity starts to fade after this first year, because then we get into an election cycle. It's always tough to hold the House as a incumbent president in the midterm. So I think hitting the ground running here and getting as much done as soon as possible is paramount. The reconciliation we need to do, especially for defense. I sit on the Armed Services and Strategic Forces Subcommittee. We need probably 125 billion because of the CR to keep the military whole. With all the projects we have going, all those kind of come to a standstill. They can't start them until they get that funding. And so I think we're going to be focusing on, the reconciliation here very soon, and hopefully get that done.
You must have, Congressman, if I may, you must have been thrilled with Pete Hegseth and his confirmation.
Yeah, I've not met the guy, I've not talked to the guy, but the troops and people who know him, they seem that he's very laser focused on bringing the military back to a lethal fighting force. Stop all the nonsense social programs that have hurt recruiting. The recruiting was off by like 25%. We're already seeing a reverse in that. Trump's also talked about reinstating soldiers who were separated from the military because they refused to take the COVID vaccine, which I thought was very unfair. These young people, should have been able to make their own choice, shouldn't have been forced to take it. It wasn't proven effective in preventing death in young people. And so, there's a lot of things that are going on within the military, and Hegseth seems to be a war fighter. And, his reputation is that, he's going to shake up the Pentagon. He's not a interrupter in a negative way, but he's going to be serious, and he's going to be different than some of the prior people we've had that just seem to go along with whatever Biden said. So I'm excited to hear from him. I'm sure we will soon. And, there's no better time to get our military back on track with the brush fires we have all over the world.
Absolutely. All right, Congressman Scott DesJarlais, always great to have you on. Have a great rest of week. It is 7:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones has the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Students from Antioch High School swarming the state capitol as lawmakers begin their special session yesterday. Also, the prosecutors who worked alongside Jack Smith to investigate President Trump are out of a job today. We've got those stories coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Bye-bye. 7:22 Nashville. Not you, Joan.
Oh,
I'm talking
glad
about
you
those,
clarified. Yeah.
those prosecutors that were escorted out, it would appear. So good. Dan Mandis here. And by the way, Scott Sapicki is going to join us at 7:35 here on Super Talk 99.7. An update on the special session, an update on whether or not the state legislature will do an investigation leading up to the shooting at Antioch High School. And there's a lot of questions that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of others, need to be answered as far as the lead up and what was done before that shooting in Antioch High School. So we're going to talk to Scott Sapicki about all that. Coming up at 7:36 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, and it's time to make 2025 the year that you get active again. Now, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. Now, I've been a client for over 10 years. I've never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago, and I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back and neck pain. It really did help me out a lot. Every once in a while, I need an adjustment. Dr. Mitch does fix me right up, and right now, a great deal is going on at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They're offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States, 47% off spinal decompression therapy. Now, at Wellness, they utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective, non-surgical solutions. Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley are committed to helping you overcome back and knee pain. So call them today. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Always find them online at painisbad.com. Dan Mandis here. I do put my seal of approval on that deal. 47% of non-surgical spinal decompression.
shoulder. I'm Christy O'Brien.
726, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for the Glock store. Now, this is my gun store and where I train, and I need to go more often here in 2025, and you do too. Now, you know at the Glock store, they've got multiple private shooting rooms and personal instructors. It is absolutely the best place to train and to up your game. Not multiple lanes and some strangers shooting next to you, no. Again, private shooting rooms and personal instructors. Now, right now, an exciting 2025 New Year, New Deal just for you from yours truly. Now, I think it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, I was able to go into the Glock store and fire a World War II era submachine gun. Thing is called a Sten. Now, you go to my Facebook page, Dan Mandis Show, pinned to the top is me firing this World War II submachine gun. It was incredible. I'm just going to tell you, it was an experience I will never forget. So what I want you to do is go to shoot270.com, and then you arrive. You mention my name, and you get to fire that very same submachine gun, World War II era. It's called the Sten. It is amazing. Now, I've gone through the incredible personal training at the Glock store. I'll never go back to the single-lane ranges again. The incredible, incomparable shoot270.com, only in Nashville and only at my place to train, the Glock store. Minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere, shoot270.com.
Good morning. It's now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Day 2 of the special legislative session called by Governor Lee to address his school voucher program, disaster relief for East Tennessee, and immigration. But students from Antioch High School gathered at the state capitol yesterday, too. They were demanding gun reform measures after the death of Jocelyn Escalante at the hands of another student last week.
I see her and me, and it's just sad. That could have been anybody. Nobody deserves that.
In an effort to ensure that Jocelyn Escalante is not forgotten, they joined hundreds of supporters at the Capitol to advocate for gun reform.
for all, not even just Antioch, but for all schools in Antioch, even just throughout the U.S.
That's Channel 4's Jordan James reporting from that protest. Students returned to the classroom today. Some, however, are protesting at this very moment. There's more trouble for Antioch High School, too. A former assistant basketball coach has been suspended from his job and charged with inappropriate communications with a 14-year-old student on Instagram. Clarence Davis is detained at Metro Jail now on a $192,000 bond. More than a dozen career prosecutors who had worked on special counsel Jack Smith's investigations into President Trump were fired yesterday. The acting attorney general saying they were fired because they couldn't be trusted to implement the Trump agenda.
We're facing an extraordinary situation in the Justice Department where these people were part of prosecutions that they believed could put President Trump in prison for potentially decades if they were able to get a conviction. So you do have this extraordinary moment where the incoming team is in service of a president that many of these career officials believes should not be in office, but should be behind bars. You cannot escape the fact that there is a conflict there.
Yeah, that's ABC's Alex Mullen reporting. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. You know, my vision has been getting worse for years, and I knew that I needed to make a change. Deciding where to go for a vision correction can be complicated, and it does take research. Now, I started asking around and looking online, and one name kept coming up, Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. Now, their reviews are incredible, with many people sharing life-changing stories about their procedures. Now, Dr. Horn has been selected by his peers as one of the best physicians, one of the best eye surgeons, and one of the top 250 premier cataract surgeons here in America. Now, most recently, he was voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Now, after learning all of this and discussing lens replacement with Dr. Horn, I knew that I had to take the leap. Now, stay tuned. Tomorrow is my big day. My left eye is going to be first. You have to do one eye at a time. So my left eye is tomorrow. So I'll be sharing my vision correction journey with you every step of the way. Now, if you're suffering from vision issues like I am and have been for years, I do recommend calling Vision for Life today. 615-436-2020. That's 615-436-2020. Find them online, visionforlife.com.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone.
Well, looks like there is a crash on 65 northbound under Old Hickory Boulevard near exit 74. That crash blocks off the HOV lane, and it's stop-and-go traffic from 67, exit 67, up to 74. Road work blocking off two right lanes in Smyrna on 24 eastbound this morning, just past Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66. Then we've got some trouble, too, in Murfreesboro. It's a crash on 24, the eastbound off-ramp to I-40 eastbound. Make that I-840 eastbound. That's exit 74. The off-ramp left side has been blocked off, and they say that's a flipped-over vehicle on the ramp. 24 westbound in Antioch before Harding Place, exit 56. An accident reported by police. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Welcome on into your Tuesday, January 28th. Scott Sapicki is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline, Tennessee State Legislature. Congressman, always great to have you on. Representative, always great to have you on. Let's talk a little bit about you're now in the midst of the special session, and you're talking about a number of different things. Right now, I do want to focus on the shooting at Antioch High School. I've been talking about this the last several days, and it is my belief that Adrian Battle, the director of Metro Nashville Public Schools, one way or another needs to be removed. And if the school board isn't going to do it, I am wondering if the governor can do that. That's number one. And number two, I know that there's been some discussion, some scuttlebutt about maybe an investigation into why those metal detectors were apparently installed and then removed from Antioch High School.
Well, Dan, that's the million-dollar question that everybody in the General Assembly that I've talked to are scratching their heads on. Why? Why were metal detectors put in there in the first place, and then why were they taken out? We believe that this could probably be taken care of, where the shooting would never have taken place. Remember, we spent a lot of money on Homeland Security agents, SROs, school safety, mental health to make sure that these things would be very difficult to happen in the future. We want to see what the school safety assessment said, what the timeline of when those metal detectors were purchased, when they were put into school, who told them to take them out, what was the reason for, and then what did the school board do in regards to possibly jeopardizing the safety of those students. And we've had conversations in the General Assembly talking to my colleagues in the Senate. Do we convene a joint task force to launch an investigation into this to make sure that we get the answers for the people of Tennessee and make sure procedures and protocols were followed to the letter of the law? And if not, what ability do we have to take action on this school district and or the superintendent?
So I don't assume anything, but I would hope that your colleagues in the state legislature have no problem with simply doing an investigation and trying to figure out what went wrong.
That is 100% accurate, Dan. We just want to get to the bottom of this because this looks like something through metal detectors could have very simply been avoided. And that's the job that we all take very seriously in the General Assembly, is protecting our students, our most vulnerable. If you remember a couple of years back, Dr. Battle did not want to put SRO officers in the elementary school those children are the most vulnerable, and we had to pass a bill in the General Assembly requiring it.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know how it is that anyone in their right mind believes that she is doing a great job. Some people, when I launched a monologue against her the other day, well, one person actually said that they work for Metro Schools and believes that she is doing a great job. Whatever. But here's the part of my, and I don't know if this is in your purview or not, but, we had this, we have now this Evolve system that has been installed, and I'm getting a lot of mixed reaction from this system. And it's an artificial intelligence based, just like the other one that failed to find this guy's gun at Antioch High School. And I went through a lot of this yesterday with the issues with Evolve and from the failure rates to, misrepresenting some data. There's some people that I highly respect that say that Evolve is actually a very good system, but that's not what I'm seeing in my research. And I don't know, do you have an opinion on Evolve one way or another? Again, I don't know if that's your purview.
Well, I don't know if I have an opinion on Evolve, but I can tell you this. Whenever you fly anywhere in this country, the first thing you walk through are metal detectors. They scan you. They look for anything that could be of metal to be used on those airplanes for use to hijack them or to bring a gun into the airports. That technology has been evolved over time to where it is very sophisticated, where if you accidentally leave a ring on or you leave a coin in your pocket, it picks it up right away. I think that's the kind of technology that we should be using in our schools. It's very simplified. And best part about it is they're portable. So you can move them to gymnasiums when there's a basketball game or a football game. And I think we need to really consider looking at technology. Does good old-fashioned metal detectors give us the level of security that we need on a base level to make sure that we keep those objects out of our schools?
I don't know if this is the kind of thing where you could bring in Metro Public School Director Adrienne Battle in for like some questioning. One of the things that she said about metal detectors is this notion of unintended consequences, and that is literally one of the reasons why she said that she didn't want metal detectors, these unintended consequences. Now, if you Google it, you'll see that, you know, they use everything from, well, this is going to lead to racial profiling and a whole bunch of other things, a false sense of security. So I would just ask, okay, so what did you mean by unintended consequences? Now, moving on, special session going on right now. Let's talk about help for Eastern Tennessee. What's going to be done?
Well, there's the governor's proposed a bill to provide grants and other assistance for our neighbors in East Tennessee that are struggling to get back to their normal lives, and also help governments rebuild those buildings that have been torn down or destroyed by the catastrophic flooding, so that they can get their economies back online to help generating revenue to make them sustainable long term. So that's the first bill that's going to happen. I don't anticipate any type of issues with that bill passing. And then the other one is the immigration bill that is going to sync up with the federal enforcement from Tom Homan and President Trump to make sure that we are in sync from federal, state, and local level when it comes to illegal immigration and deporting those who are here illegally. Also providing a different avenue and nuances for driver's license to identify those who are U.S. citizens and those who are not. And then lastly, providing the necessary supports financially for our locals so that when these illegals are detained, our local counties and municipalities do not get unnecessary burdens financially, that the federal and state government will help pay for those costs to get those individuals apprehended, detained, and then taken out of our country.
State Representative Scott Sapicki is joining us. I had the governor on a few days ago, and one of the questions that I asked him was, is he getting any pushback on his ideas from, members of, the blue cities, Memphis, Nashville, obviously. Are you seeing any pushback aside from, from the usual two Justins and Gloria Johnson? Is there any other pushback that you're seeing?
Well, Dan, I can tell you this. We've been up here now for almost a week, and I haven't heard any pushback at all from any member at all.
Really?
I think the people of this state have spoken very clearly on what their views are on illegal immigration and what they want the General Assembly, the federal government, and local law enforcement all working together to make our schools safer, our streets safer, and our communities safer in Tennessee.
Interesting. Okay. Whole special session was about school choice. We're going to talk about that straight ahead and see where that is headed in the special session. Thank you very much for joining us, Representative Sapicki. We're going to take some traffic real quick, then I'll be back to talk about school choice here on WTN. .45, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. And as far as your weather today, a high of 55 degrees. Sun is out here at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, Scott Sapicki joining us, and let's talk about school choice. The original reason why the special session that is now underway has been called by Governor Bill Lee. So I'm just going to ask you an open-ended question. I know that during the recess, folks from the Senate and the House working together to make sure that everybody was on the same page as far as what was going to be, put in the legislation. How is it going? Is this as much of a negotiation as I'm thinking it may be?
Well, I think everybody has put their heads together, both in the House, the Senate, and the governor's office, to come up with a common sense solution to give parents the ability to choose the educational platform that's best for their student, for their own child. And I think you're going to see a bill that's been presented by the governor that we'll be debating here starting at 1 o'clock that is taking into account the aspects from other states that have led to financial or academic problems, and also those successes they've had in other states, and crafted a bill that I believe is probably one of the best school choice bills ever written in the country. And I think when we pass this, and I do believe it'll pass, that this bill will be copied in other states as other states start to get involved in putting parents back in control of their child's education.
So where are the rural districts? I know that is always the big question. It was certainly in the last time y'all tried to do this. Are the rural districts, are they going to sign on to this?
Well, I think they are, Dan, because the argument they make is right now there is no other option for their students in their rural districts. And that tells me that they want to support school choice, because obviously if they had a private school in their area, they would be all in favor of their students in their districts getting the opportunity to choose what's best through the parents, what's best for those students. If you look at the data out of Iowa, when Iowa went to school choice in the decade after the vote for school choice, 36 private schools were built across the state of Iowa in rural and urban settings in Iowa, which we look at if school choice passes like it has in Florida, like it has in Indiana and Illinois, and also in Iowa, in Wisconsin, you will see that investment in private schools across the state of Tennessee, which will give our students more options and more opportunities to choose what's best for them.
Going to be interesting. So I've seen, it's so interesting, because I'm just going to tell you, every time I talk about this, every time I have you on or the governor on or Jack Johnson on, I get inundated from both sides. I mean, oh, this is never going to pass and this bill stinks. And then you get other people that are saying, I can't wait till this passes. I've only got about a minute left, but this has been a very heated debate within the Republican Party.
True. I think whenever you're talking about major policy changes, I think you get passionate on both sides of the aisle and internally on each side here. I think the biggest problem, Dan, is over the last 2 months or 3 months, all of the misinformation that's been put out there by people that are quoting things that A, aren't in the bill, or B, don't even relate to the policy in the bill. And I think what you're going to see today, if you tune in at 1 o'clock, you will see the facts presented on exactly what the bill is, what it does for Tennessee, and how it makes our educational system better. And that's our job up here, is to make sure the citizens understand exactly what the legislation is and how it affects their children and students.
Well, the left, there's two big pieces of misinformation that are out there right now. Number one is the left will say that you're defunding public schools. So that's number one. And number two, there's that, I forget who reported it, but there was the survey and the headline was basically, well, kids here in those districts that were the pilot for this program,
Yes.
they're not matching where their contemporaries are in their new schools. And as I pointed out, of course that's not going to happen. You're not going to have a kid who just went into this private school, for example, matching where those kids that have been in that institution for, 6, 7 years, you're not going to be able to match them. But they are showing major improvement, and that's the point.
Dan, you're absolutely correct. If you look at all the studies out there, It takes a student going from a failing environment to a high rigor environment in private school. It takes them about 4 years to get their education caught up to where it should be. We are seeing improvements in those students that have taken advantage of the governor's voucher plan. We are looking forward to this year of even greater improvement. And here's the thing, Dan, we should be all together recognizing that we need to do everything we can to help our students succeed.
Absolutely right. Do you have a timeline? When do you think this whole thing, the special session, when do you think we'll know on school choice?
Well, I think my gut feeling is I would think by Thursday, maybe Friday of this week. I think the special session will wrap up with votes. But at 1 o'clock, we start on the education committee, and we'll be debating it first.
Dealing with the protesters out there from Antioch High School, how's that? Is that difficult to conduct business with all that going on?
No, not at all. That they have a right to come up here and voice their opinion. That's the First Amendment. We want to make sure that we get to the bottom of exactly what happened at Antioch and see if there were things that maybe contributed to this happening through the school district.
Absolutely. Well, as always, thank you very much, Representative Scott Sapicki, for joining us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Always great to hear from him. And I mean, right now, my focus on the special session is really all those three things. You got illegal immigration, the help for Eastern Tennessee, and school choice. But I really want to know the decisions that were made leading up to the shooting at Antioch High School. I really want them to investigate that. I really want some answers. And the parents of Antioch High School, they should be demanding answers as well. Why was there not that? Why was that metal detector not installed? And if Adrian Battle, the same Adrian Battle that I was screaming about a couple of years ago for not wanting SROs in the elementary school, why were they installed and then taken out? The people of Tennessee, this isn't a Metro Nashville public school problem. This is a problem for the entire state. Because, and if you're a parent, even if your kids aren't directly affected, they actually are. Because nobody wants to see clearly, obviously, school shootings. And if we have somebody in a very important position in charge of the district making such bass-ackwards decisions, then she needs to be fired. One way or another, Adrian Battle, my opinion, she needs to go. And somebody has to have the guts to do the investigation and then make that determination, whether it's the governor, whether it's the school board under pressure from the governor. After this investigation goes, somebody needs to make a decision because she needs to go. That is obvious. Now I'm all mad, Joan.
Well,
if
you should be.
Anybody wants to know how to trigger me, just mention Adrian Battle. It's all you got to do.
Yeah. Well, here, you want something else to make your head spin?
I talked over the sounder. Yes, go.
The makers of those new weapons detection systems that were installed at Antioch High School, they're letting schools cancel contracts. We'll tell you what's going on there. And that's coming up in the news here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Appreciate it. And yeah, we talked about that yesterday here on the morning show about all the problems that Evolve has. I mean, well, I'm not going to redo the monologue from yesterday. But then, 5 hours later, you had the Tennessean come out with a lot of the same information that I had as well. There's a lot of questions. Now, somebody reached out to me who I actually respect and said, Dan, Evolve isn't nearly as bad as you seem to think it is. Okay, but I was just going off of the reporting that I have seen. But again, some people that I very much respect actually believe that Evolve is the right program to utilize. And so we'll continue that conversation. Really looking forward to seeing how the state legislature responds as they discuss investigating the decisions that led up to the shooting at Antioch High School. Dan Mandis here for USS, United Structural Systems. Listen, we're going to get a bunch of rain coming in. Of course, we all know that it snowed a couple of weeks ago. But when there's a lot of moisture, when there's a lot of water, you need to make sure that you don't have any leaks in your foundation, no cracks in your basement, because, the tiniest cracks in your basement, well, that can lead to a massive amount of water in your basement. And you know what that means. That means you can have mold problems, you can have wood rot, you might need structural repair. That's where my friends at USS, United Structural Systems, come in. Now, what if your pipes burst? If that water remains unseen, it can turn into even bigger problems. You need to call my friends at USS and make sure that you are water ready. You want to stay ahead of water damage. Call these folks at United Structural Systems. They've got over 30 years of experience in basement and crawl space, waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. We guarantee our best. Call USS. You can always find them online, USSTN.com.
Well, good morning. It's 8:01. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got some big problems this morning on 65. On the southbound side of Cool Springs, it's an accident blocking two right lanes. On the southbound side this morning, a crash blocking the right shoulder. That's at exit 87. We'll detail more of this in traffic and weather coming up in just a minute. Antioch High School students being encouraged to wear red when they return to class for the first time today since last week's deadly shooting. But some of the schools, some schools are saying they're not going to walk through the door. Some of those students, instead, they're out there. Channel 4 says they're outside today protesting for better school safety.
We're all left traumatized now. Nobody wants to go back.
We want better protection for our schools. This shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Now, those students who do go back to class today will have to walk through the new weapons detection system that's being tested there. It's called Evolve.
These detectors should have been in place before the incident happened, and it could have prevented it.
I've been looking into it, and people, they say it's almost 60% effective. We don't need something that's 60. We need 100% effectiveness into our school and safety into our school.
Now, the company that makes that new system, Evolve, has just settled with the federal government. And now it's allowing schools with contracts to back out of those contracts as a result of that settlement. The federal government accused Evolve of making false claims about what its detectors can do and how well its scanners can detect weapons. Evolve has just laid off 14% of its staff. That's about 40 employees. Its stock has lost more than 10% over the past year. There is a third healing vigil that's being held tonight for the Antioch High School community. It's being held at Mount Gilead Missionary Baptist Church in Hermitage. There'll be a tribute to Jocelyn Escalante. Mental health support will also be available. There are some early morning deportation raids that are taking place in New York City this morning. Photos posted online show DEA officers and Homeland Security investigators taking people out of buildings. They're handcuffed. This is happening in the Bronx. Recently sworn in DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, she was on the scene this morning for those raids, sharing a video and commenting, quote, "Dirtbags like this will continue to be removed from our streets." Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Chipmaker NVIDIA shares traded a little bit higher in pre-market trading today after losing $6 billion in market value yesterday. This came after Chinese startup DeepSeek released its AI that outperformed OpenAI. Cost a lot less, too. So Dow futures this morning ahead of the opening bell, they're down 52, but NASDAQ futures are up 43. We've got S&P futures gaining 8. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
In Franklin, it's 65 northbound lanes at Cool Springs Boulevard, exit 68. An accident there, and the two right lanes are blocked. Also, a crash in Talbot's Corner at 65. In the southbound lanes at Trinity Lane, and the right shoulder is blocked there. Also, some road work in Smyrna on 24 eastbound lanes past exit 66 for Sam Ridley Parkway. Two right lanes blocked. Woodbine, a crash on 24, the eastbound side at I-440. That crash is partially blocking the left lane. Got a crash, too, in Oak Hill. This is on Leland Lane at Grassland Lane. And that one involves some injuries. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? I'm fine. Thank you for asking. It is Tuesday,
Dan, how you doing?
January 28th.
Were we supposed to respond to that?
Yeah, I know.
No.
Okay.
No, you guys never ask how. Not once do you ever ask how I'm doing.
Oh, my gosh.
Every time I come in, you go, hey, Jeff. I go, hey, Dan, how you doing?
It's all about me.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. It's the Dan Mandis show.
You got the Marconi. That just proves.
That's exactly, whatever. Hey, Joan.
Yeah.
I actually noticed something. I believe it or not, somehow, accidentally, I had the television on local news the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw Stefano Di Pietro.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the extent of their absurdity over telling us what to wear. They actually had a checklist.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Like literally, I want you to envision looking at the television screen and there's Stefano or whoever, and they've got long pants, check. Heavy jacket, check. It's like, oh my God, what are you people? Like my mother?
Yeah.
Stop it already. I can't believe that. Do people not get offended by that?
There's one ABC station in Philadelphia that they actually have. Remember when you were little and you had those books that you would put the plastic stickers on, different things? They have the plastic stickers with a raincoat and galoshes and, things like that. And they put them up on the screen so that you know exactly what they're talking about.
I feel like that's trying too hard.
Yeah.
It's insulting, actually, is what it is. If you are an adult, if you're a teenager, you know how to dress. Now, Riker, on occasion, we've got to send him back upstairs because Riker, that is like last year's jeans, right? And he's wearing like Floods. Remember Floods?
Yeah. Does he ever try to get out the door with like shorts on in 20-degree weather? Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know what's crazy about that, Joan? Is that when he tries to do that, we as adults, do you know what the last thing that we would do in that instance? Turn on local TV to see what's on their damn checklist.
Hold on, honey. I got to watch the news. I got to find out what I'm wearing today.
Yeah.
Give me 10 minutes. I got to turn on the news and wait for the weather report. I mean, whatever. Moving right along. We have a poll up, the Daily Dan poll, and it is, how did we frame the poll?
President Trump is accused of issuing too many executive orders. Do you agree? Yes, no, or undecided?
And I think by far most people are saying that the president, they're okay with the amount of executive orders.
Oh, you know what I should have put? I should have put not enough as one of the options.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. He's done a lot.
No, that's because
he did like 200 on the first day, and I've lost track. I mean, there's a Joan. I don't know about you, but there's some stories that I'm only able to mention in passing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if I'm interviewing Jonathan Fahey, for example, I spoke about all of those prosecutors that were fired that worked with Jack Smith.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff, all those inspectors general or inspector generals, whatever.
Inspectors general.
All right, so I had it right the first time.
Yeah.
And, that Trump went off and fired a bunch of those folks as well. And it's just like hair is on fire everywhere. And I think that it is clear that it is not business as usual in Washington, D.C. By the way, I had a moment. I was going to wait for this, but I'm not going to. I was going to wait for Chris, but I'm not going to. So, I was talking about Selena Gomez, right?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
So
you mean Selena, right?
Selena, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I called that cry fishing, because what she is doing is she is fishing for social media engagement by crying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be honest. I didn't realize that all by myself. Amy actually told me that. But what Amy told me last night was she's totally sad fishing. Not cry fishing like I somehow remembered it this morning.
So did
It's
Amy
sad fishing.
remind you this morning that you got it wrong?
Oh, she sure did. Because you know what? What good spouse doesn't take the opportunity to correct the.
I'm sure she did it lovingly.
Danurism strikes again.
That's exactly right. Danurism strikes again. So what is she? I don't even know what the heck she said. She said, it's sad fishing, ... Not cry
If you
fishing.
get the ellipses, you know you're really wrong.
She's basically going, yeah, that's not.
Do you know what I've noticed is the number of dots is an indicator as to how pissed off she is.
Yeah.
Like if there's a lot of them, I know that I'm in a lot of trouble.
3's the general.
Three's like helping you out, buddy.
Yeah.
Yes,
If
that's
you got
exactly
4,
right.
she'd be like, oh my gosh, how many times do I have to tell you?
But see, here's the thing, is that I know, this is what I should tell her. I know that it's sad fishing, but I wanted to take it up a notch, and I wanted to, start cry fishing as a thing, because that is really what she's doing. She's not sad.
Yeah, but your
She's
wife
literally
would see
crying.
right through that. She would know that you just didn't remember right.
Well, that's because she's smarter than I am.
Plus, crying equals sad, I feel like. I feel like those two go hand in hand.
No, you can be sad and not cry. You can.
Very rarely.
I mean, unless you're progressive, like they cry at everything, so they're perpetually crying. So whatever. But I mean, you can be sad and not be crying. There's been times that I've been sad about a lot of things, and I don't actually cry, which will shock a lot of you folks, because I cry at a lot of stuff, actually.
My dad told me never to cry.
When you get in your bubble bath, you cry.
So
I like that you like that so much, KGB.
No, because it's funny. Because Dan is this conservative host, but yet it goes into a bubble bath and cries like a progressive.
Okay, so for the record, I never admitted to crying in the bubble bath, and I don't cry in the bubble bath. I'm in my happy place in my bubble bath.
Your safe space? You need a safe space?
Yes, that's exactly right. Although, you know what I did one time? Should I talk about this?
Oh, yeah,
Yo,
you
it's
definitely
too late
should
now. It's too late now.
Let her rip.
My dog, because I usually shut the door when I'm taking my bath, my bubble bath. I took a bunch of bubbles and I stuck it on the dog's nose. And I texted to my wife, hey, call Bandit. And so Bandit goes running up there, and he's got all the bubbles on his nose, and it was kind of funny. So anyway,
underwhelming story.
Yeah,
that was a lot funnier when it happened.
4 out of 10.
Anyway, so I will contend that Selena Gomez is cry fishing. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, very good. Hey, thanks for supporting this bit. 8:15. 8:15.
That's our job, right?
Time to check the roads on WTN. $8:15, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Okay, coming up, KGB and Joan, do not let me forget. I need to rebuke a listener.
Oh.
I do. I need
Is
to
that
rebuke
smart?
a listener. What do you mean, is it smart?
Is it smart to rebuke our listeners?
Well, I'm just going to do it in a nice way.
Okay.
I might make her sad, but I'm not going to make her cry.
Okay. Maybe she'll need a bubble bath too.
Maybe she'll need a bubble bath.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it in a nice way. She's attacking the company, and
What
I need
company?
to our company.
Is she?
Yeah,
Well,
she is.
What's she saying?
I'm not going to tell you
Okay,
right now. It's
okay.
the art of the tease.
Yeah, I was about to say
I
this.
What's wrong with you, Joan?
It's like this is the tease of teases. He's going 5 minutes worth of teases here.
You know, my goal is always to ruin things for Dan. So
That's okay.
yeah.
You and every other woman in my life.
Well, Joan, this is your show, for the record. Yeah.
All right, just stop it. Hey, you guys remember when Obama said this?
If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half century.
What's interesting, Joan, you've been in news a long time, as have I. And I don't remember the absolute meltdown when Obama said that. I don't remember
Oh, no, there wasn't.
CNN and all of these other folks doing the epic meltdown that these folks are doing now. I just don't.
Yeah.
yeah.
It didn't happen. That's why you don't remember it.
So, and one of the things is in the news today, just so you folks know that I know, that there are massive raids going on in New York, apparently ICE raids in New York and all across the country. So today apparently is from what I understand, the real shock and awe day for the deporting of all of these bad guys. I love the J.D. Vance, and I'm going to play this. By the way, do you know what I just saw? Joan, have you seen Hillbilly Elegy yet?
I did, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about that at 35.
Okay.
That is an amazing movie.
It is.
I watched it over the weekend, so we'll talk about that. But J.D. Vance was on with Margaret Brennan. And remember when she was talking about how our nation is founded by immigrants?
Yes.
You know, part of my frustration is that there is a lack of context in these questions. So listen to what she says.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by. This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world. No country says that temporary visitors, their children, will be given complete access to the benefits and blessings of American citizenship. America should actually look out for the interests of our citizens first, and that means, again, if you're here permanently and lawfully, your kid becomes an American citizen. If you're not here permanently, if you're not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and don't plan to be, why would we make those people's children American citizens permanently?
Right. And I just, the whole thing of our nation was founded by immigrants is so completely out of context with where America is today. We know that America was founded by immigrants, and as he said, settlers as well. But the dumb thing is that the immigration from way back then, even in the 20s and 30s, far different from what we're seeing today. And so just that stupid, moronic, out of context statement, well, this nation was founded by immigrants. Oh, well, then by all means, let's have a bunch of gang members and drug dealers and murderers and rapists. Let's just allow them to waltz across the border. You see how moronic that is? Just the statement in and of itself is so out of context. And it's like these news anchors, whether it's Margaret Brennan or, some of these other folks, they're trying so hard to find a gotcha question when the reality is that you're only making yourselves look dumb. I mean, Martha Raddatz, that interview, and I played you audio from that yesterday extensively with Tom Homan. It was the same thing, where they're trying so hard to be combative with the folks, whether it's J.D. Vance, whether it's Tom Homan, whether it is a Trump administration surrogate or just a conservative, that they end up making just quantum leaps. And it makes them look dumb, is what it does. Well, this is a nation founded by immigrants. No crap, Sherlock. But the immigration that we saw at our nation's founding is a lot different than what's going on right now. Clearly. And that's why you've got these networks where nobody's watching them. I think at this point, people are watching MSNBC and CNN. If they watch them, they're watching them strictly for the entertainment value. And here's the great thing about CNN. Like, nobody's really watching CNN. They're watching for the clips. And a lot of people are watching the clips to see how Scott Jennings will put these idiots in their place.
Number two, you get your next report card at the midterm. I mean, November 2026, voters will go back to the polls, and they're going to register a verdict on how the party in power is doing. The party in power is the Republican Party. We control everything, small margins, but we control everything. And they're going to expect some progress on issues, immigration, economy, energy prices. I mean, those are the big ticket issues. And they're also going to assess how they feel about their own lives. Right. Do they still feel the same economic anxiety that they were feeling under the last administration? And do they feel that the policies that have been put in place are working or are moving towards working?
And that was a comment that was in reaction to this absolutely ludicrous discussion where you have people on the left saying, oh, but the price of eggs, oh my God, they're $4. Right. Because Trump has only been in office for a little over a week. And you can't repair the damage that Joe Biden has done to our economy in a week, not to mention, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the fact that Joe Biden, one of the answers to the cost of things being too high is lowering the price of energy. And part of that, lowering the price of gas, is domestic oil production. And what did Joe Biden do out the door? He signed all these executive orders to make it harder to drill baby drill, especially in Alaska and also off of our coast. What was it? Millions of miles that now we cannot drill off of California and the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, and so forth. Joe Biden signed those executive orders that doesn't allow Trump to do what he was elected to do, which is drill and increase domestic oil production to lower the price of gas. So there's only so much that Trump is going to be able to do. And by the way, yes, I know, I can hear you screaming at the radio. I know. We talked about it earlier. The bird flu killing millions of these chickens. You kill all the chickens because of the bird flu. That means less eggs, supply and demand. But as I said earlier today, Trump was voted into office because of the economy. And so if he isn't able to fix the economy right away, okay, but at least what he did not do, and at least what America did not do, is reward the party that did all this, which is the Democrats and the Biden administration, obviously. 8:24 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, I apologize. Where am I at? I'm way late, and I apologize. What? Stoltzco. My friends at Stoltzco. Has Joan done the teas yet? Okay.
Nope.
Sorry, Joan. See what happens when I get all worked up? I just completely, I hope important people aren't listening.
I didn't want to give you a signal because I was like, you're going.
That's all right. That's all right. Chris Hand is coming up here at 8:35. We're going to have a chat with Chris about all things illegal immigration. I want to know what Chris Hand thinks about Selena Gomez and her cry fishing. We're going to talk about that straight ahead. Dan Mandis here for Stoltzco. And listen, if you've got a piece of land, maybe some property that you don't know what to do with, check out my friends at Stoltzco. They are the premier pole barn builders here in the state of Tennessee. You know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltzco could increase the value of your land big time. You can use it as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, or you can just live in it. Pole barns from Stoltzco, they are flexible and also built really well. You can also, by the way, plan ahead and build your retirement home. So call these folks, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-622-5992, 615-622-5992. Reach out to my friends at Stoltzco. You can also find them on Instagram or Facebook as well, or at their website, Stoltzco, Stoltzco.com. Quickly, Joan, quickly. What's your tease? What's coming up?
Well, we'll tell you what led to the shooting death of a baby in Murfreesboro over the weekend. Also, state lawmakers getting back to work. They will not be taking up gun control in their special session. We've got that coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I started working.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Good morning. It's 8:30 now, 8:31. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 33 degrees. We'll get up to 56 later. Stick around for the forecast. We're learning more about the murder of a 1-year-old baby in Murfreesboro on Saturday.
Say the killer was angry with the mother of the child for playing music too loud inside an apartment at the Chelsea Place Apartments on Bradyville Pike, where the shooting happened around 2:30 on Saturday. 24-year-old Marquavius Hampton of Chapel Hill allegedly shot the 1-month-old in a stroller. The mother struck in the hand, trying to put herself between her baby and Hampton. Police say Hampton turned a gun on himself while running from law enforcement who had been alerted by license plate reader cameras of his presence in Williamson County. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Tennessee state lawmakers back to work today after their special session that began yesterday, during which they debated the 7 bills presented by Governor Bill Lee covering his school voucher program, disaster relief for Eastern Tennessee, and also immigration. So when will we know whether school vouchers are approved? Here's State Representative Scott Sapicki.
Well, I think my gut feeling is I would think by Thursday, maybe Friday of this week. I think the special session will wrap up with votes. But at 1 o'clock, we start on the education committee, and we'll be debating it first.
Sapicki speaking to Dan Mandis earlier today. Stock markets open now, and stocks are beginning to trade. The Dow Jones Industrials are currently down 5. NASDAQ gaining 40. S&P 500 index up 4 points. Market numbers are poor, brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Think of Joan, 8:32, Nashville's Morning News. Friends, you know that January can be a time to clean, to purge, and to become healthier. Now, Zero Res can help you do just that. They are offering you a healthier way to clean your home. And using Zero Res does mean that they use cleaning agents that leave your carpet cleaner and healthier than those other carpet cleaning companies because they use that ZR water technology. They leave no soap, no residue, and no harsh chemicals. I've been a customer of Zero Res for years. Now, they're going to clean and sanitize your surfaces without the use of detergents or those harsh chemicals, which means that, yes, your carpet does stay cleaner longer, unlike those other carpet cleaning companies. Again, I've been using Zero Res for years, and they are number one in my house. The Carpet and Rug Institute also say that Zero Res is the number one carpet cleaning system in the nation. Independent testing labs, they say the same thing. Now, right now, Zero Res has a great deal going on for listeners of my show. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $99. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned, just $99. And you can celebrate the new year with 25% off of upholstery cleaning. So be healthy and stay healthy in 2025 with Zero Res. Restrictions may apply. Call them, tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-535-9376. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com.
It's a problem this morning on westbound 40. A crash reported at Central Pike, exit 221A. Also, Talbot's Corner, 65 southbound lanes at Trinity Lane. There's a crash still there, blocking the right shoulder. And they're doing some milling and paving on 24. The eastbound side, the right 2 lanes are blocked at Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66. And it's pretty slow behind that as well. Donaldson, a crash Donaldson Pike north of Elm Hill Pike involving injuries. And 65 on the northbound side at Paytonsville Road, Goose Creek Bypass, exit 61. That is also the scene of an accident, just a one-vehicle crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.838, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello and good morning. Joan Jones is here. Hello, Joan.
Well, good morning.
And KGB, Jeff Malinoff is here. Chris Hand is here. It's time for the cross.
What's up? Is this the right mic now? Am I doing it right?
I don't know.
Yesterday,
I have no idea.
I have them all up just to be safe.
Okay.
Good plan.
So, yeah, you should have heard the conversation that Chris and I were having behind the scenes. Because, I mean, there's no other way to say it. We sounded like a couple of 13-year-olds talking about how we're doing our makeup.
except
did he give you any tips?
There's no makeup going on.
No, we're all trying to figure out the stupid cameras. And
I love the cameras. I don't think they're stupid, Dan. They look great.
They do look great.
I said to Dan a minute ago, I said, go back, and everybody should do this while they like and subscribe to our YouTube page.
Yes.
Go back and watch the first ever Super Talk TV. Versus how the studio looks now. It's just such an incredible improvement.
Dude, Chris, I literally yesterday I was looking at the live stuff and I went, oh, what's the oldest look like? And it was just like, whoa.
Well,
and
Dan,
Murphy had short hair.
For the majority of the broadcast, Dan had a microphone swing arm in front of his face.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, and the problem was that I kept hitting it. I'm the reason why we have the ones that are down to the desk now. But anyway, so today's definitely looks better. Do you know what the problem is? The problem is Chris and I are talking behind the scenes about camera angles and this, that, and the other.
We're like, which way are you positioning yourself?
Yes.
Because we have 2 computers, so I'm like, which one are you doing your notes on? Because I was doing my notes on one computer, so I didn't look like I was looking the other way.
Right.
Just random stuff inside baseball.
And I realized what my problem is.
Oh, I know what your problem is. I'm sorry.
She's not helping.
Oof.
No,
she's not
she's
helping.
not.
She's going to feel bad in a second. Tell her what the problem is, Dan.
My problem is, and this is Malinoff's problem, really, my self-loathing is interfering with my appropriate use of the cameras.
Just stop.
Because I can't, I'm never happy with how I look.
Nobody ever is.
And then Malinoff says, I heard that. And then Malinoff says, you know, you were looking kind of jaundiced, and so I had to
That's
adjust.
not your fault. That's the sunlight and the lighting at the same time. That's the only problem with the show is we're in the dark, and then it turns to day in the middle of the show, so everything we've worked on kind of changes. Just with lighting purposes?
Yeah.
That's not your fault. That's just nature.
Malinoff pipes in and says, you look like you have kidney failure. So we had to
called the paramedics.
Yeah.
We changed the lighting.
Well, the comments were way meaner than I was. So
you know who has the nicest camera look?
Who?
Of the 4 of us? Malinoff.
Yeah, weird how that works out.
Yeah,
They're
it
in
is
charge of the
interesting, isn't
camera.
it?
You know what?
You know what Malinoff is doing? He's making the rest of us look ugly and old so that he can look better.
Dan, I guess I have to bring this up now. Dan, I'm sorry, but for Chris's camera, I tried my best, but your back of your head is showing. So
is my back of my head still? I don't know what to do.
No, it's not your fault because if I zoom in more, Chris becomes pixelated, so I can't do that to Chris. So.
You should start putting Post-it notes on the back of your head for a secret message for just the YouTube
gosh.
audience.
You know what? They'll want to sponsor that, I guarantee you.
Oh, yeah.
The back of Dan's head.
Sponsor the back of Dan's head.
Oh, my God. Just put a logo. just put a logo right there during, like, the cross.
You know, kind of like baseball, you know how they're putting the logo of the team on the pitcher's mound?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll start doing that with the back of my head.
You could get like a Busy Bee temporary tattoo.
No, he doesn't need
Wouldn't
that.
that be
I'll
good?
just put a
That
logo.
would be funny.
Yeah.
That would be funny. All right.
That's prime real estate. Sales could get some dollars out of that.
They sure could.
What's the
All
most
right.
expensive thing you sold here? Well, Dan's head.
The back of Dan's head, man.
It was a big commodity.
So
So
anyway, somebody complained. I think her name was Sally. Sally complained.
Sally's always complaining.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
She
that.
tends to.
So here's the funny thing, just so you folks know, we talk about you behind your back.
Yes.
Like, oh, did you see what 8921 said?
Only nice things, I swear.
That's actually not true. So we're just kidding. We actually love the interaction. But Sally said, y'all are always talking about the investment in the cameras and everything, and you're trying to phase out the radio listeners.
No.
What have you done to, and this is what her question was, what have you done to invest in the radio show?
Ah.
I have an answer for Sally. 2 years ago, we bought a $250,000 radio transmitter.
Wow.
$250,000. And that wasn't cheap. And that's really expensive. And that's what they do. So, and then there's the lines that connect us from the studio to the transmitter. I don't remember what you call the TSL, whatever. But anyway, there's all kinds of radio
That's
stuff.
time spent listening.
No, it's not. It's a STL.
Okay.
Thank you, Joan.
We talk all the time, though. I program for radio. I don't program the show for the stream.
I absolutely program for radio.
Until the stream numbers get to where our listening numbers are, in the couple 100,000 range.
Yeah.
Then I won't program for the stream. Like that's why you hear my instrumentals when I come in. They're all copyrighted. We can use them on the air. We can't use them on the stream.
Right.
I'll worry about that when the stream numbers get up. Because we program for the radio.
Yeah, but it was interesting though, Chris. We were talking earlier about how there are people that have never actually heard. I'll say me because somebody said it to me. Have never actually heard me on the radio. The only place that they've heard me is on YouTube.
It's wild.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how did you recommended by a friend? I live in Arkansas, whatever it is, and they'll only watch it on YouTube. It's crazy.
It blows my mind when you see the people that have found us online, like they'll be watching in Ireland, in random countries.
Yep. A guy was listening in Japan earlier.
Yeah.
And we had a whole big conversation about what McDonald's in Japan tastes like.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Okay.
I'm very cultured.
That one word.
That's it. I do actually want to go to Japan. That's on my bucket list of countries.
I thought konnichiwa was like Korean.
Is it?
It's Korean.
Wow.
Ask me how I know that. Well, somebody better Google it.
Yeah,
I worked at a Korean radio station.
No, you didn't.
What?
I worked at
Well, you lived in Los Angeles, so you guys had the best Koreans, the rooftop Koreans.
Rooftop Koreans?
You've never heard of rooftop Koreans?
What?
Okay, this is Chris Hand speaking now. So we're going to get like the
You
Korean...
never heard of the rooftop Koreans?
No.
During the riots in L.A.?
in the L.A. riots, yeah.
They were defending their businesses on their rooftop with guns?
Oh.
It's a very famous
the
picture.
world famous rooftop Koreans?
Wow.
Well, I didn't. I knew that there were Koreans up on the desk, up on the roofs. I didn't know they called them rooftop Koreans.
RTK, baby.
By the way, konnichiwa is Japanese.
Thank you.
Is it Japanese?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I worked for a Korean radio station, and they also used konnichiwa.
Did they?
Yeah. You know why?
Is that cultural appropriation?
May have been. Here's the great thing.
I'm so confused how you, were you on the air with this radio
No,
station?
I did your job. I was a board operator.
Were they speaking in Korean?
Yeah.
How did you know when they were going to break?
Yeah.
They literally...
Daniel-san.
They wave their hands at you.
They said when they stop talking, you hit the button. And that's what I did.
They didn't have like a closing. They just
Yeah. No, they could have. I just don't know what it was.
I see.
And I think the call letters were KAZN.
I love it.
Is that a coincidence?
So, and it was always like, so when somebody would come, I know people who have listened a long time know this, but they would always have this greeting, konnichiwa, konnichiwa. and it used to drive me nuts. So when you said konnichiwa,
it took you back.
They did. It took me back.
PTSD Dan, apparently.
Yes. Anyway, so there you go.
Well, shout out to the rooftop Koreans and the Korean radio stations out there.
People are like, Dan, it's Japanese. I don't know. Maybe the show that I worked on was Japanese.
Maybe.
Because they were all...
Don't even know.
You don't even know.
I assumed they were
How long
Korean.
did you work there?
Listen, first of all, I was in my early 20s. I was making minimum wage, and I was eating a sandwich at the time. I don't know if it was Japanese or Korean or whatever. But they used to all... That's the only thing I remember. Well, not the only thing. But one of the only things that I remember is they used to always say konnichiwa.
Do Koreans say konnichiwa too? Can you fact check that?
Okay, I will.
Yeah, you know,
we got to do a dig.
I got some weird Google searches on this computer.
You should see my suggested ads after my Google searches. It gets weird. Japan is a country on my bucket list. I want to stay in one of those honeycomb hotels.
Ooh, yeah.
Have you seen that? You live in like a little pod?
Yeah.
Dude, I wanna do that so bad.
Konnichiwa is recognized in 3 languages: Chinese, Japanese, and Korean.
Oh,
boom.
There you go.
Boom.
Mike Trough just walked out.
So where did it start?
Korea.
Korea.
I bet.
Best Korea?
Best Korea?
Yeah.
Don't just...
There's
one answer.
You're talking about South Korea?
No.
Or Best Korea? What do you mean?
North Korea is known as Best Korea. It's a joke on the internet.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's sarcasm. It's sarcasm.
So you know what Chris said about the sad fishing versus the cry fishing?
Yes.
Chris said that cry fishing. Amy, I hope you're listening. I love you. Chris agrees with me that cry fishing has a better ring to it than sad fishing.
100%. And I liked what you said off the air, that you didn't actually forget what you said, but you decided it was better to go with cry fishing for radio, and that Amy didn't know.
That's exactly
about
right.
Radio.
How is the couch? Is
such
your
a
couch
made-up-
comfortable, Dan?
He didn't really say that. I'm just being.
I know
jerk.
he's going to sleep on it though.
No, cry fishing flows.
Just so we're clear, my couch is very comfortable.
Okay, well enjoy it tonight.
I had a great one in my first marriage too.
Oh no!
So
why bring that up?
the message that I got from Amy, Lord help me, tell Dan it's sad fishing. I'm going to quit telling him anything.
Oh, no. She's texting Joan now?
And so it
now you're in trouble.
So, Joan.
This is like the George on Seinfeld. The worlds are mixing.
The worlds
Joan,
are colliding.
You should have never switched numbers with Amy. You shouldn't have done that. The worlds are colliding.
I have never met with Amy, but I've agreed with her on a majority of things.
So, anyway, yeah, Joan and Amy are now communicating. Exactly what I need in my life.
Yeah.
Joan, does Amy like me? Text her that. And I want to see if she. I want to honest truth.
Amy,
press one for yes.
Do you like?
What did you ask?
Does she like Jeff?
Do you?
Oh, Malina? Oh,
like
whatever.
Jeff.
Hey, Amy, you might want to lie on this one.
Maybe.
No, cry fishing flows.
Cry fishing does flow, and you know, stick it on a hashtag and make it work.
Yeah.
They both work.
By
They
the
both could work.
By the way, what did you think of all this?
I'm so sorry. I wish I could do something, but I can't. I don't know what to do. I'll try everything.
I mean, she was not sincere, and you know what? She's a dope.
So, you know, I feel I bring the same energy that I bring to the Pope. It's like, oh, would you take some in your mansions? You have 4 properties all over the country. Are you taking any of these?
That's what we
these
said. She's got
helpless refugees?
Chris, did you hear the size of her house?
No.
It's over 11,000 square feet, 6 bedrooms, 10 bath.
Oh my gosh.
How many illegal aliens can it fit in 11,000 square feet?
Only one way to find out.
And then she's got 3 more.
Yes.
Does she have 4
She has
properties?
4 homes. She has 4 homes. And then, where was this energy when Obama was deporting 5 million people?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. Well, I think she was probably, what is she, 35? So she's about in her 20s. She's probably only had 1 property at that point.
Yeah.
So.
No. She's been making money for a long time. She was one of the original kids on the original Barney show.
Was she really?
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. So she's been
explains it.
She's been in the game for a long time, and I don't know. Yeah, being in Hollywood that long, Lord knows what comes with it.
That's crazy.
What was worse to watch as a kid? If you're a parent, Joan and Chris, you guys. Well, I'm going into weird territory with Chris, but parents, what do you hate more, Teletubbies or Barney?
Teletubbies.
Your Teletubbies?
Hands down, I hated Teletubbies.
Teletubbies were just weird.
Yes.
Like all that jumping Do you remember the X-rated version of the Teletubbies?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, there was a Teletubbies episode where you can look it up online. They were just doing all kinds of weird things, positions.
Will I
kind
get
of
in
stuff.
trouble with the government if I look this up?
You do it at home.
Okay.
I don't know how you're going to react. Anyway, so
Oh, God damn. No.
anyway,
No. No.
oh man. Anyway, moving right along. So yeah, that. What are people saying? Who do parents hate more, Teletubbies or Barney the dinosaur?
I hated the cleanup song, but at
The
least
purple
it
dinosaur.
helped.
It had a purpose.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, it did.
I grew up watching Barney in the 90s.
Did you really?
Yeah, my little sister watched it all the time.
Oh,
I grew up with both.
Teletubbies are terrible, and they.
Caillou is the worst ever.
Yeah, Caillou was actually awful for kids.
Yeah.
Why?
It was just
never
it would
watched
just
it.
teach them all sorts of bad behavior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was talking back.
Wasn't there a
Bit of
rumor that
jerk.
Caillou had cancer because he was bald? That's what I heard.
Oh.
I don't know.
That's what I heard. I don't know. I never watched
We're
it.
getting
Now we have
we're
Miss-
getting weird
Now
levels
we have Miss Rachel, who, aligns herself with the gay movement.
Yeah, she's woke as all get out.
Yes.
I know conservatives with kids like, oh, we're listening to Miss Rachel. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Which is Miss Rachel?
She's like a YouTuber that sings kids songs. If you want a YouTuber with kids songs, Danny Go is the move.
Danny Go?
Wow.
Danny Go.
Of course, Dan would like that one.
We jam out to some Danny Go.
Okay.
His big one is The Floor is Lava.
Oh my God.
It's fire.
Riker
Fire.
when he was younger, The Floor is Lava.
Yeah.
You know, it's usually whenever I hear Danny Go, it's always Danny Go Away. So it's kind of.
Now I want to give Dan a hug. It's just
No.
Daily Wire has a new kids group of, I guess, cartoons and a show that, kids can watch and sing along to. And so, I mean, there's other stuff out there. Just have to find it.
Well, we love the Daily Wire. Okay, what's coming up next, real quick?
We are going to talk about a lot of stuff. The transgender executive order. We're going to talk about the confirmation hearings that are coming up, and RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard. The opposition to them is coming on strong.
All right, it's 8:54, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Brentwood Jewelry, a great local company that has been giving back for over 50 years. Now, I got to tell you, the Imamali family, they are full of heroes. They own Brentwood Jewelry. And the family patriarch, Salem, served in special forces. And his sons, they all serve as local firefighters. This is indeed, truly, a great American family. Now, part of that giving back is giving you great deals on all things jewelry. From watches to earrings, necklaces, and definitely engagement rings, they can help you find the perfect ring within your budget. And if you can't find what you want, they'll custom design a ring just for you. Brentwood Jewelry, they are the official jewelry store of my house, and you should check them out today. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com.